Hello and welcome to DCP Live episode number 309. We don't have anything to talk about episode, so we're going to give our reviews of the new Mario Brothers trailer that dropped. Starting with Lego. What do you think? What do you think of the trailer?
Bowser looks awesome.
Yeah.
Bowser
Agreed.
did look awesome. I enjoyed when Toad showed up. Thought he was very funny, very cute.
Yeah. Toad's got some qualityness.
How Mario has the back end of a hunter. Flat.
Yeah, what's up with that? Why did they just completely remove any ass? You know, it's like stick figure, but filled out.
I think they went with the old man flat ass. I don't know. Like,
the front butt.
he's a plumber though, so he should have a bit of junk in the trunk, right?
That's what I was thinking. Yeah,
exactly. That's strange.
Oh well. Everything else looked good though, to be honest. It looked funny.
I like how they hardly put Mario's voice in there to avoid Mario's voice.
I was thinking.
Yeah,
What did it
couldn't-
know. Like I haven't watched it. What did it?
Well, you couldn't really hear it. To
Sounds
be
like
honest.
Chris Pratt.
It was,
Sounds like Chris Pratt.
I don't know. It wasn't long enough of a sentence really to pick up on it. I thought.
I think it was intentional because they're like, oh, this is going to be difficult to make it sound like an Italian plumber.
Sounds like Star-Lord. What's Star-Lord doing in Mario?
It's a Star-Lord.
All right. Now that we got the over system, we should probably get to it, right? A lot to talk about.
We have some very serious news before we get into.
Yeah, we do.
the
Very
12
serious.
Right.
Yeah,
this week.
big serious
Big,
news.
big,
Yeah,
serious,
serious.
serious news. So, if you head to the TWAB, there's something very important there. Very important. There's a question asked of, when is the Nutbush emote coming to
The Nutbush.
And the answer was, we've heard a rumor that there may be a weird Australian-ish dance emote coming shortly after Lightfall.
Oh yeah.
The Nutbush is coming to Lightfall, everybody.
Let's go.
It's here.
Congratulations, DCP.
Yeah, congrats
Community.
to
You did it.
everyone.
You did it.
Mylan, I gotta ask you, did you feel like a shout of 1,000 of your ancestors suddenly just, joyously erupt from the excitement of the Nutbush emote becoming reality in the Destiny universe?
People literally woke up in their beds, thought there's a disturbance in the force. What's happening? As soon as they announced the Nutbush, and I've already set the rules with my chat. I said, if we ever play a game together, there may be Nutbush inspections. Okay,
Yes.
I'm going to ask you to Nutbush immediately. And if you can't Nutbush, you are not only
You're
out of
out.
the group, you're out of the King's Hall raid,
Booted.
you're also banned in the chat.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yes.
so make sure
That's
when
fair.
that Nutbush comes out, you pick it up, you equip it, and you be ready for Nutbush inspections. We'll probably also do a Nutbush giveaway. every sub, we'll do it. We'll put Nutbush on, Nutbush music, Nutbush subathon. Give away some silver so people can buy the Nutbush. We'll maybe put a cork hat on, get some Vegemite, some fairy bread. I think it'll be a great day. I just can't wait.
That's beautiful. I love it.
Question is, do you think it's going to be a multi-person emote?
Oh, it should be. It's got to be a
so.
line dance, right?
Yeah, fire team emote. What if it's the
Yeah.
first 6-man emote?
Yeah.
Oh,
There it
my
is.
God.
Raid mote. Wouldn't a raid mote be nuts? Nutbush.
Yeah.
I hope it's a reward from a raid.
The raid reward. That's
The
what it is.
Australian raid. Yes.
Yeah.
If
You're
it was
right.
okay, here's the question: if it was 6-person, would you do 2 lines of 3, like line dancing? You probably do 2
Hey,
lines
you're
of
the
3,
expert
right?
here. You tell
Yeah.
us.
What would you recommend?
What's your average
Well-
line size?
I'm just thinking back to my childhood and how we danced.
Plunder
in
the depths of your
auditorium.
youth.
Yeah, I think you should have 2 lines. I think that would be correct. You'd have 2
Okay.
lines of 3.
2 lines?
Because 3 lines of 2, it's not quite a line, is it? It's just I don't know.
Well, it's technically just a vertical line then, right?
Yeah.
It's a
yeah, so you
line
need
to the
you need
bathroom.
a bit of girth to the Nutbush.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
Mylan,
Wow.
There we
would
go.
you give us an example sometime? The Nutbush.
I tell you what,
A
I'm
briefing?
saving all my nut bushes for when it comes out. Okay, and every time we give out nut bush, we do a nut bush.
That sounds like a good charity, thing to
Yeah.
hit is the
Yeah.
Nutmush dance
Oh
tutorial.
yeah, we did that on GC actually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Perfectly.
Oh no, there we
I
go.
believe.
Perfectly. Yeah, we killed it.
Yeah.
Actually,
Yeah.
Yeah.
it could be used as teaching instructions. I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There you
They
go.
probably based the emote off that segment, so it's probably gonna be really bad.
Oh man, that's great.
What if they make the emote like Australian schools and like all the kids, because all the kids are always out of time and doing the wrong shit.
That would
one
be
one
amazing.
guardian's turning around at the wrong speed, the other one's doing a different part of the dance.
That'd be better, actually.
Yeah.
That would be great.
That's great. Okay,
Lego, it's
so-
great to have you back, man.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Actually, this whole conversation has me thinking. Last time I was on, I wasn't able to say my favorite drink, and I was like, "Oh,
Oh,
dang!"
okay.
Because I asked y'all one time, "Had you ever tried Bushwhacker?" And it's like one of those like just drinks that you go and have on the beach. It's like just like rum and cola. It's just like just a sweet like ice cream drink basically. And then I was like, well, I didn't get to the best part because I was saving it for if I ever came on the show. That there's an alteration of that drink that's called the Nutwhacker instead of a Bushwhacker.
Sounds
Typical.
intriguing.
Mylan's
Tell
face.
us more.
Yeah, Mylan is peaked
I need to have
in
this
interest.
for my Nutbush extravaganza as
you-
well.
The Nutwhacker.
Wait, so are you telling me if we put those drinks together, we get the nut bushwhacker?
Yes. No, okay, but the Nutwhacker is actually it's just peanut butter in like the ice cream Kahlua rum instead of just the chocolate. So it's like
Wow.
That sounds
everything in
delicious.
it. So you could drink a Bushwhacker or Nutwhacker and do the Nutbush
Nutbush
like all in
Whacker.
one sitting.
Yeah, so maybe I'll need to organize those cocktails for my nut bush giveaway. Rotate through the nut whacker and the bushwhacker. This sounds like it's going to get out of control real quick.
That's great.
Yes. Perfect.
That's I'm looking forward to it. Lightfall is going to be great, but this is where it's at.
This is the
Yeah.
best
Level.
news.
Yeah, this is the
Yeah.
content
Yeah.
right here. Nice.
You know what? Unironically, it'd probably be a great advertising strategy for the Aussie market
Yeah.
because literally all those trains will be talking about it. They're
People-
like, yes, get Lightfall so you can get the nut.
Yeah. People will be like, "What's that Nutbush game that you guys keep playing?
Yeah,
the
yeah.
Nutbush game."
Yeah. Yep.
There's some lore this week, right? I'm wondering, should we do lore first or TWAB first? Because obviously the TWAB's huge. It's girthy.
Yeah. There is look, I can cover the law very quickly so we can get to the 12 if you want.
Yeah,
Okay.
because I was thinking like, because in the lore this week they said that Nezarec was a part of the collapse. Like it kind
Uh-huh.
of, at least what they said this week, put aside our thoughts that he was our guy, or that he went against the witness to help us.
Yeah. So when you place the relic in the helm, you get a little bit of information from Ido, and she says, "I've been, searching through the Cryptarchy record, and Nezarec was part of the first assault on Earth during the collapse, and the traveler repelled the attack, and he crash landed in the moon, and that's how the pyramid ship got there."
Okay.
So, yeah, there's obviously something else going on, and this is what I made a video about because we do have the pre-Golden Age text about Nezarec. So it's like,
Yeah.
how did that information get there if he didn't arrive until the collapse?
Mhm.
And I did see a comment today, like, Matt, it's probably just like Bungie forgot. And look, sometimes that does happen. But the lore on Nezarec is only like 2 pieces of lore. And they've already like been very detailed with mentioning the 4th tomb of Nezarec, which was like from Forsaken. So considering like the whole pre-Golden Age text is in the original Nezarec Sin lore entry that started this whole thing, I sort of feel like it would be unlikely for Bungie to have not seen it or remembered this whole segment.
Mhm.
Like his whole lore is from a pre-Golden Age text. So
It wouldn't be that difficult to have a recap.
I think it'd be more likely that they knew about it and ignored it than they didn't see it. But
really?
that could be the case as well.
Well, couldn't it lead to he was a part of it, but then it could be that afterwards, from the crash, like had a change of heart and went against, right?
Well, I think you could come up with a bunch of theories of how he got there.
Mhm.
Like, for example, we have evidence of Rolk before he destroyed civilizations, like cults spawning up around him, like doomsday preppers. So,
Mhm.
the witness could have been whispering to humanity's civilization about their impending doom before that, which could have sparked like a cult of like Nezarec.
Mm.
Savathun could have done something similar. Savathun, we know, was playing around with the Golden Age and like telling people this impending doom's coming. Like she did that with this family called the Rigby. So, if Savathun and Nezarec
Eleanor?
still have something there, she could have planted some truth about Nezarec as well. So there's like two theories that could have happened with how Nezarec came to be, known to humanity before the collapse.
That makes sense.
He could have, I don't know, been a spy. He could have been like on the planet beforehand and sowed some sort of seeds of, if you think about like if he really was a disciple for the witness, like maybe the witness like made that as a backup plan. Like, hey, like Nezarec's really a good guy. Like, everyone worship him. He'll be your shining, light in the dark. And then, what do? We're like, oh, yeah, maybe he's an ally. We like resurrect like the disciple that attacked Earth. So, it could have been a backup plan. Don't know. Could have been Savathun trickery. I'm just having a bit of a look at my other notes about that. The other interesting thing is like the traveler repelling the pyramid ship, because I'm very sus on that. Because, right, we've seen the traveler like push out this light wave before, but we don't really know what else the traveler did, like during the collapse. Like that's a big mystery, right? Like what's apart from making guardians, we don't really know if it had other defenses. And the fact that it somehow disabled just Nezarec's ship out of the whole Dark Fleet, and that was the only ship that crashed into the lunar surface and remained hidden. Like, I don't know, that whole bit I feel like has been manipulated or it's not quite accurate. Like, I
don't
still think
trust
there's
the
probably
speaker.
a twist there.
Speak nothing but lies.
Isn't there kind of precedent for that with the way that the traveler destroyed Gaul? Like it was like he pushed out the traveler pushed out the beam or whatever, that circle that you're talking about, and went out and alerted everyone, but it also specifically got Gaul and not like us standing right next to Gaul.
Oh, that's a good point. Yeah. That's a good point. So I guess if like Nezarec was like the flagship, then maybe it sort of targeted that one. Everyone's like, okay, like see your commander go down. You're like, oh, we better scat. Like this is not going in our direction.
Isn't it possible there's also other pyramids that maybe crashed and we haven't found yet or discovered?
Yeah, that's true as well. There could be other pyramids that have been crashed and haven't been discovered. I guess the one on the moon was there for quite a while without us ever knowing. So
yeah. And plus, there was a city this whole time in the clouds that we never knew about, and suddenly we're going to discover. So you could see other things being hidden for a while, and then suddenly being like, "Oh, here's another pyramid in Europa or something."
Yeah, and I think that whole like scene could relate to because we know Savathun did something during the collapse, like turn the tide. So like, did Savathun turn on Nezarec? Is that like the thing that the worm references? And maybe rather than the traveler taking it down, maybe Savathun did something to fall, Nezarec's ship, and then that turned the tide, and that's why the witness left and sort of saved humanity. So, like Watts was saying, that would sort of show that Nezarec wasn't on our side or wasn't going to be an ally, and is in fact with the witness.
Maybe we should stop putting these relics together. I mean,
yeah, we should
take a pause on that.
But that would be boring. We're putting them together for sure.
I mean,
the
You know who are bored? People who are alive. You know who are bored? Dead people.
Yeah, true. Yeah, true. Hey, so what's that saying? We're not here for a long time, here for a good time. That's Guardians.
Yeah. That's true.
The other thing is, we know from the worm as well, Savathun like rode shotgun to the apocalypse and pretended to go along with it. So, Nezarec could have been in the same position. Like he could have been doing a fake out too. Like there's still, I think, possibility that he wasn't on board with the whole thing or was playing along like Sabathun did during the collapse, and then something happened for his ship to crash land. So
Yeah. Also, the
that-
lore about
that
him being a
possibility.
traitor, you know, or
Well,
not
yeah,
not the
that's-
lore specifically,
yeah,
but like
yeah.
the indicating the traitor and all that. Like, it seems likely that Nezzy did have some sort of double crossing going on.
Well, that's
Yeah.
what made me curious because I was like, well, if he didn't double cross the witness, then who is he the traitor of?
Yeah.
And that
Yeah,
made me
that's
go,
true.
ooh. Well, then who the hell is Nezrak? You know, it made me really
Well-
start thinking about who he is and like who exactly
Yeah.
did he double cross.
Great point,
humanity?
because you know what? It could just be that traitor could be a reference to his backstory. It could just be like, because we know Rolk could be considered a traitor of his own planet, right? Like he destroyed
Right.
all of his own people.
Right.
So, you know, disciples seem to have that thing going for them, where they're basically like the sole survivor of their species. So, you know, maybe the traitor's vessel is gonna be maybe gonna get a whole backstory on Nezarek, or that relates to his backstory that we don't know yet, and it's
Mhm.
gonna be revealed that, you know, he was a traitor amongst his people, or did something to whatever in his like narrative arc for people to call him a traitor,
Yeah.
and it's not actually a reference to the witness.
Hmm.
Another good point, guys. Why don't you show up in my bloody law stream so I can put this into a video?
Because you always yell at us.
The only time I'm in your lore stream, you're just yelling at hobbits, telling them to shut up. So
It's true. I think the last note I had was, well, actually, there's a couple more. I just said I was going to be quick, but here we are. K1 artifact. This was like another thing, right? Because Shadowkeep gave us I even got the book out. Gave us the collector's edition book that talked about the K1 artifact, which is the artifact in the Anomaly Crucible map, right?
Yeah.
And it's described and drawn in the book as like an orb. So it looks the same as the artifact that we find on the pyramid ship that gives us stasis powers, or gives Eris stasis powers at the end of Shadowkeep. And she picks it up from the veiled statue, right? And it very much seems like this artifact is from a pyramid, and they find it on the moon. So I've always been under the impression that Nezarek's ship was on the moon since the Golden Age, because that's where they got the artifact from.
Yeah. They
But
plundered
this
it.
sort of confirms that like there was already another artifact there, but no pyramid ship, I guess. And then Nezarek crashed after the collapse. So
Interesting.
sort of interesting clarification of timelines there, and it doesn't necessarily disagree with what's happening here. It's just sort of now we know that they found an artifact, a pyramid artifact in isolation, which actually triggered like a beacon to attract the darkness in some way. So you know, we've got that information now. And the last thing was Ido says harnessing the relic's power but gave no instructions. So I suspect, my theory is that's what the tombs of Nezarek have something to do with. So we know that the Elixni came after the collapse, then Mithrax's mum chopped the body up, and then we know that Drift has been to the fourth tomb of Nezarek, and he has got body parts. Like, he recognized the relics this season. So, like, it sort of confirms that in the tombs of Nezarek, there are actual body parts of Nezarek. So that means humanity at some point probably killed some Elixni, found these dark relics, and were like, okay, this stuff's like super powerful and super dangerous, and like resurrected tombs of Nezarek. So I'm thinking that the tombs of Nezarek were, separating the body parts for humanity. They knew that they were dangerous. And there's something to do with harnessing the power. Maybe we'll find that in a tomb of Nezarek.
Mm-hmm.
There you go.
Cool.
Mm,
Good stuff.
very interesting.
Like,
Do y'all
comment, subscribe.
think with Drifters, like, he just seems so nice this season? I don't
He's
know
been
what
very
it
nice this
Yeah,
season.
He's been so nice that I'm like, what's he doing on the side? He's been to the fourth tomb of Nezarek. He like knows all about everything already,
He
but
smelt
yet
it.
he's just continually being a little bit unlike himself. I don't know if he's kind of maybe Eris is getting to him a bit, and they're I don't know.
Well,
He just
this
seems
week-
a little softer than usual.
Yeah, this
You know
week he
what?
also mentioned
Not
like
that Eris is soft by any means.
yeah, this week he also mentioned the possibility of what happens when all that power gets collected. He's like unpredictability, and he's aware of it. Apparently, he's been around it, and I don't know. It's like he could be the wild card.
This by prediction, Ido is going to die. and
Oh,
be
I was going to say the same
resurrected-
thing.
And be resurrected as a guardian, and she will fulfill the Kel of Kel's prophecy. That's my next video.
Mm.
Don't copy it.
Wow. I'm gonna make a video right now.
I'm writing that down.
Put it
Yeah,
on
right now.
TikTok.
Don't write it down.
Yeah,
Hold
I'm
on, I'll
throwing
be back
it.
in 10 minutes.
Make a quick TikTok. Put it up.
Turn it into a real 15-second lore blast.
Aramis's line this week at the end, that was kind of like the, okay, there's the gun under the table kind of deal. Like it's going to get used is what it felt like whenever,
Yeah.
I don't remember what she said, but it was along the lines of like, you stand in my way, you're going to die. And it was like, oh, God.
Yeah. She definitely threatened.
And so, if you haven't read the lore entry this week, it ends with Ido saying she's going to go get a relic by herself.
That's bad.
I don't like it.
Judging-
Yeah.
It's a bad news bear.
Yeah,
That's
not a
yeah.
good idea.
Judging by her battle experience, she was like, "Boy, we should leave. There's too many things here." It's like, what?
Yeah. Yeah. So I go through the Kel of Kel's prophecy. I think that'll be a fun video on Ido dying and being chosen by the Traveler.
Cool.
Come back.
I like the being chosen. That really like, because I was thinking in my head, I was like, they can't kill Ido because like she's so beloved by the community. I just
Yeah.
can't see it. But then if there's like some sort of resurrection, it's like, okay.
Yeah.
Because Ido this season literally quotes the speaker, like the Guardian Creed. You know, like bravery leads to
Yes.
sacrifice, and then she goes
Leads to death.
sacrifice leads to, and she doesn't finish it. And the last sentence is sacrifice leads to death.
Mm.
That's good. That's good foreshadowing if that happens, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you think Nezi's gonna get resurrected at the end of the season?
Definitely make this season a banger from pretty average to like pretty freaking cool.
Yeah. Lore-wise, yeah.
I hope so. I hope this is not just like, hey, this is not like an Exo Stranger kind of scenario. Like, hey, we thought we wrapped up that story really well. You got a cool gun. And I was like, no, we want to see Nezarek.
Yeah,
I
at this
hope
point,
so.
the way it's going, I think I'm going to be disappointed if I don't actually get to see Nezarek Nezi show
Yeah,
up.
definitely.
I do
We
want to
definitely
see
gotta do
Nezarek.
that, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I want to know who he is. I want to know what he was. I want to know where he's from. I want to know everything.
Yeah, I
Maybe
want to
not
know.
this season. Maybe not this season. I mean, I'd be happy if we got like an ink blot, like showing his
Yeah.
character a bit
Oh, yeah,
more. I
that'd be
think that
good.
would be really
Yeah.
cool. Maybe not something necessarily in game yet. I think stuff's developed so far ahead that I think the logistics of like when would if Nezarek was going to be a boss to be introduced in game,
Lightfall, right?
that means they would have to have this season done like really early. Which, you know what? Maybe that explains why this season like doesn't have a lot of things going on. Maybe they had to get it out quick because they're going to have Nezzy in there.
Well, next
I don't
season
know.
we have a dungeon that's supposed to happen.
There
There's
you
that.
go.
Of course, I would be disappointed if Nezarek gets resurrected, Rezi Nezi, and then it turns into a dungeon.
Resurrected,
boss.
Nezarrected.
I would be bummed out about that. But we have a dungeon for next season, and if there was like a, how they like to hide what the raid boss is going to be. You think
Yeah.
it's going to be this, but it ends up being something that you don't have no idea about or something like that. So I could see it potentially going that direction where he gets resurrected by the end of the season, or is strongly hinted at a resurrection, and then that happens next season, and then stuff connects to it into Lightfall.
Yeah, I think so. I hope so. I think knowing that like Rolk exists and Rolk was in the game and Rolk was in a raid sort of gives me a lot more faith that these other characters can come into the Destiny. They're not
Mhm.
Fallen, they're not Hive, they're not Cabal. They are unique looking villains.
Agreed.
And that sort of gives me hope that we'll see Nezzy.
Yeah. Someone, Dante in chat mentioned calluses for Lightfall. See, they never do that. They never show you the actual raid boss of a new raid in the promotion like that, it's always like the campaign boss is like Callus, but then the actual raid boss
Right.
is something different, you know?
Yeah, it's like Witch Queen, Savathun, and
It's
like you have the
Rolk.
campaign.
Yeah,
Yeah, then
exactly.
you have Rolk. Yeah.
Yep. Mhm.
Yep. Cool.
Cool.
So that's it. Nutbush and lore.
Nutbush.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty big week. Should
Thanks
we
for
do some
having me,
Twitter
guys.
questions?
Yep.
You bet.
Yeah. Twitter.
Everyone just fades out.
So the TWAB. Shall we begin?
Oh my God, it's
Let's
so
go.
big. It's so dense too.
What if I ask the questions that they're asking in the TWAB, and then you guys just make up an answer?
I like that better, frankly.
It starts with something that I won't go into a lot of detail about, but it's just about account bans because there was a big ban wave that went out, and some people got caught in that were false positive. They said that approximately 60 accounts were false positives, and unbans began to
Unbagged.
occur within 24 hours. So it looks like it should be cleared up now. But of course, because some people got banned and they weren't supposed to get banned, a bunch of people were like, well, I also was not cheating.
I was not using
In all honesty, that is
my
a
cheat.
big problem. You cannot be banning people who don't deserve it. False positives cannot happen with this, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
That is
was-
a big problem.
It was
Well-
pretty rough the way it went down too, because it was at least one of the guys was the one who made D2 Gunsmith, and so for him to get banned and that whole drama to go down, it was just like put a spotlight on like, oh man, there were some false positives, like,
Yeah.
and that brought up a whole other issue of like, well, if it wasn't somebody who was well known, would have even been known, sort of deal. Which I'm sure they addressed that it was like a human error, not just a bot thing. Which was good to know. I feel like that it was a human error and it wasn't just the system plowing through people.
Yeah. Yeah,
The
I mean,
whole human error gets me though. Like I just like how can it be human error? Like a human as in like putting in the wrong input and accidentally banning people, or
Yeah, that's what it
That's
sounds
what I would
like
guess,
to me.
yeah.
you're next, Mylan.
yeah.
You know, you try and highlight
tell
like
you what.
60 cells, but accidentally hit like 120.
Yeah.
You know, in a spreadsheet.
Oh
It's
right,
like,
yeah.
you just kind of.
Yeah.
Yeah. Look, I'm never getting banned. They look at my account like he's been sitting in orbit for 2.5 hours. What's he doing there? I'm reading the law, Bungie. I'm reading the bloody law. Yelling at chats.
So yeah, sucks. People got banned and they shouldn't have got banned.
Yeah.
I guess the positive is that from this, a lot of people who were supposed to get banned did get banned. A
Yeah.
lot of them.
Well, that's good.
So,
Get him out.
next we're on to the big meaty part, which is the weapons. All the weapons, lots of stuff in here. So this is the systems design team, and they're talking about a whole lot of stuff. So I guess we could just take it in turns to read some questions and answers.
And if you guys
Okay.
need help reading, I'm here. Use me as you need.
Perfect.
You just start with the first one. We'll tell you when to stop.
So general questions. We start off with full auto. So when the full auto setting arrives for all weapons, are you still going to keep the full auto trigger system mod as an option? It's nice to have the flexibility. And they said yes. They will be the mod and also the option in the game for full auto. What will replace full auto on exotics that have it? So Traveler's Chosen is getting, instead of full auto, it's going to have surplus for its catalyst. Vigilant Wing is going to have Ensemble, and No Time to Explain is going to have Feeding Frenzy.
Very nice.
That's good.
Feeding Frenzy
So-
seems pretty good for No Time.
They're replacing it on exotics, but they're not replacing it on old legendaries, right?
No, yeah, just exotics. And that one for Traveler's Chosen is pretty cool too, because surplus synergizes with the whole deal of Traveler's Chosen, which is giving you the energy back.
Yeah.
So it just syncs up together really nice. It's really cool.
Yeah, Traveler's Chosen, it's a good change. That should be real good. Divinity.
Get it out.
Get it out. All right, Divinity. I'm just going to read the whole thing. All right, strap in,
It's
put your
down to
bonus in your
15%.
belt.
That's what we need to know.
Well, it's
And
also
and sold for-
important. Well, that's the thing. It's important to read that part, Mylan, so that doesn't happen. So I'm just gonna read the whole thing. I'm not even.
All right.
Note that encounters are built around players having access to being able to weaken, as many folks have theorized. We don't believe that Divinity in its current form is actually a balance problem, i.e., it's not necessarily too strong in isolation. That said, Divinity is incredibly dominant in endgame PvE because it trivializes aiming precision weapons and has an extremely high uptime for weaken. The most important issue is that Divinity granting 30% weaken sucks the air out of the room for all other weakened sources such as Tether and Tractor Cannon. And we don't want power creep to go past Divinity to make them interesting. So with season 19, they've been having testing a bunch of varieties, and yeah, the Divinity's weaken is going from 30% to 15%.
Ooh.
Right.
So you're
think
gonna
that's
have
good.
that weaken effect, and you're gonna be able to hit crits easy.
Yeah.
I think it'll
So,
still be a
yeah.
great. It'll still be a good option for boss encounters, but it just won't be the best option. But
Yeah.
and I think hunters can finally come back with the tethers. Yay!
Yeah,
Nice.
it's a thing of like, hey, do you want a little bit of weaken, but it's going to be a lot easier for us to use precision weapons on this boss. Or if you are really good at hitting precision shots by yourself without Divinity Bubble, you can run another weaken and do that instead.
You got a boss with a giant head.
Yeah. Or one where you're not using precision weapons.
Yeah.
Right.
And they were also clarifying on Twitter because, of course, everyone was like, "Oh my god!" As soon as a streamer brings it up, you destroy it, and they're like, contrary to popular belief, we can't just make decisions in like a couple weeks. So they've been looking at Divinity for quite a while.
Yeah.
now.
Look how long it took to make the Nutbush. Takes a long time to get
Exactly.
these things done.
Takes a
It
while.
takes a long time. We talked about that a long time ago.
Oops.
Now we're talking about kinetic weapons in PvE. So, what about adept raid weapon viability? As it
Good
stands,
question.
it's a
Yeah.
very good question. As it stands, crafted base raid weapons are flat out better than adept raid weapons. We're not happy with this current state and have changes coming in Lightfall that give the new Lightfall raid adept weapons access to enhanced perks. Note that this is not going to be
Okay.
full freeform crafting. It's a little complex, so please look out for more information. But that sounds good.
Yeah, that's
Okay.
very good. I was just going over this in a video with the new Raid Fusion Rifle because the enhanced perks on the crafted version can do something that is impossible on the Adept version. The Adept version can't get the enhanced perks, and so the enhanced perks on the Raid Fusion, you can get Kickstart and you can get Backup Plan, and you can proc them both together only on the enhanced perks because the timer is longer and long enough to
right.
proc both of them together. Whereas the harrowed version, it won't work. There's not enough time. So it's kind of crazy that there's stuff on the crafted one that you just can't do. So it's really cool to hear them bringing this over.
Yeah, big agree. Future plans for exotic champion weapons. This is a lengthy one, but I don't know where to. Well, actually, it's not that lengthy. Never mind. We don't have any specific plans to add anti-champion mechanics to existing exotic weapons. The goal of recent additions was to address some obvious holes in the options available, and we're happy with how that worked out. That said, we are building anti-champion functionality into a new exotic weapon in Season 19, and they may revisit other weapons later.
Good.
Honestly, I really feel like the ones they did add took a lot of the pressure off champion mods in a good way.
Yeah.
So I sort of wish they actually were planning to add. It didn't feel so oppressive having champions. It feels like you had a little bit of build crafting, but you still had to build around the champions. It felt like a nice balance. You had to, use an exotic, obviously, but we'll see.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Kingsfall weapons have unorthodox perk pools. What are the team's feelings about continuing to do this versus making custom raid perks to differentiate endgame rewards? We have guidelines for how spicy perk pools can be depending on the difficulty of the source of the weapon. For example, trials and raid weapons get to break our standard perk combination rules. The Kingsfall weapons push this to an extreme, and we're evaluating whether they're an actual balance issue. Seems okay so far.
They're like, did we break it? Are we looking? Looks good.
We intend raid origin traits to make raid weapons feel unique and may still make one or more perks that are exclusive to a new raid. Starting in Season 19, you will see a number of non-raid weapons get access to perks from older raids.
Okay.
Interesting. Okay.
Like it. That feels kind
Yeah.
of like what they did with Redrix, how, you get that perk that was only for that gun, and now after a while, they kind of like
Yeah.
move it forward, which is nice to try it on different archetypes and stuff.
True, yeah. Next, does Outbreak Perfected truly have persistence, or is it simply its recoil setting like any weapon? Outbreak does not have persistence. Does anyone know what persistence is?
It's an
No.
old D1 perk that I think increased stability or something like that the longer you used it. And so people thought that, because it feels so good, it's got to have this D1 perk on it. And I guess they're clarifying, no, it's just, we just wanted to keep it this way.
Yeah, so it doesn't have the D1 perk. They just say that it has 90 recoil direction, whereas similar weapons are in the 40 to 60 range. So it's way higher than other things that are near it.
Mhm.
I love it when they embrace stuff like that, though. That's like this. It could be seen as a bug or something, but we like the feel or this identity of this thing, and so we're gonna bring it and make it a part of Destiny 2.
Yeah.
That attitude's really cool.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
I
like that
love
too.
this where they said that it recoils like an auto rifle, not a pulse rifle, which was a Destiny 1 bug, but they maintained it in Destiny 2.
That's
Awesome.
fun.
Love that.
Is recoil direction, maybe this is a question for firing range, but is recoil direction being 90, does that mean it goes straight up? Or
Yeah,
does that mean,
it's straight up.
is that the amount of recoil it has total?
Almost straight up. Definitely the higher it goes, the more the cone like kind of centers. And then there is this thing where like if it's around a 5, then it's like it tends more centered, but the higher the number is, the smaller the cone gets. But if it's like, I can't remember which way is which, but if it's like 93, the cone will be smaller, but a little bit that way or a little bit to the right, depending. But definitely like the higher the number, the smaller that cone gets. So it's definitely important.
There you go. The cold denial that Xur sold with the accuracy masterwork, does that actually improve its accuracy? Because everyone thought that this might be a bug because it kept changing its masterwork that it got or something like that. Masterworks provide additional weapon stats to a stat already existing on the weapon. Weapons can't benefit from a stat that they don't have, and only bows have an accuracy stat. So no. Cold denial, accuracy masterwork does nothing.
What are people gonna do? What are the YouTubers gonna do with their weekly Xur videos of like, this has the rarest thing, you'll never get accuracy masterwork again?
Oh, it's a little heirloom that you can keep.
Yeah, it's a collector's edition.
It's do stability perks such as rapid hit affect the perfect draw window on bows? Yes. Basically. Just yes. We don't need any more.
Okay.
How was it for the weapons team to add subclass verbs like headstone, chill clip, and incandescent to weapons? Did you enjoy syncing the two more closely in gameplay and builds? Subclass 3.0 verbs opened up a huge amount of design space for weapons. The perks we've already made are just the beginning. I would hope so.
Good.
Yeah, and I would assume so. I would assume that they're just going to keep moving more into that because yeah, they are the most fun perks. They really are.
Yeah.
Yep.
Why does only a subset of exotic weapons tie into subclass 3.0? We're not planning to tie every exotic into subclass 3.0 verbs, but over time we'll add functionality to several of them, starting with those that are strongly themed around damage types. We're currently looking at seasons 20 and 21 for passes on this, but we don't have anything more on this topic.
Fingers crossed. Polaris Lance. Please have
Polaris
incandescence.
Lance,
Please.
Sunshot. Oh, I want Sunshot to do it so bad.
That would be cool. That one feels like it just has to, like it just should already.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, because it does explosions, which is what Solo 3.0 does. Okay, here we're gonna be getting into some math shortly. So
Okay,
prepare
let me get my
your
pencil.
math hats, genius.
My TI-82.
You have one more question to get ready for the. Are we going to be able to have multiple perks in each column on crafted weapons at some point in the future? We're investigating this for a possible future release, but it's more complicated task than it appears at first glance. Nothing in the immediate future. All right, here comes the math. How do the extra perks on ritual rank resets actually work? Is there a cap to the benefit? We have a formula that determines the maximum number of alternate perks based on the number of resets. For example, here are the formulae for Valor. Left column, 1 plus clamp, Valor reset count plus 1, 2, 0, 10, rand slash 2, this percent 3. Got
And it was
that?
at this moment I realized I
14.
could not be a developer.
Yeah. Can I get that in binary, please? Or hex? Explain it to me in hexadecimal.
I can explain the right perk column to you if you want. It's the same. No,
I
it's
do
not.
like
This
how
is
they
3.
clarify this afterwards. It's
Yeah.
very helpful.
Yeah, so clarification on what the hell that just happened. This means that the left column's maximum perk count increases at first and third resets, and the right column increases at second and fourth resets. The maximum possible is 3 perks in each column, with the actual number randomized between 1 and the current maximum. Why? I'm just going to ask. Why don't you make everything so complicated? Why could it not just be like you do a reset, it adds a +1 perk to the left and the right column. You
Video
do another
games?
one, it adds another one.
You'd probably just be able to get the exact thing you wanted so fast at that point. I mean, not so fast. You had to reset, 4 times? But still, it just seems like you would get every roll you wanted from that point on from that activity so quickly. I actually really like that they clarified, okay, like it's just a random chance. Once you clear rank 4, you could get 3 in each column, but it's just a roll the dice of, are you going to get 1, 2, or 3? And because I was kind of confused after ranking up, especially the way it was bugged after the first season it was introduced. Now it's like, okay, I understand now. I'm at the max possible. I could get a 3 and 3, but there's not like an 100% chance that that will happen.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Math.
Mm.
I don't need another coffee, I think. I'm that kid in math guys going,
Yeah. Yep.
Just nodding at him like, do your work. I'm like, oh, fuck.
We're not even to the good stuff yet. There's the image below with all the numbers. It's gonna get better.
Oh, it's gonna get even better, Mylan. Get ready. Get your pencil.
Copy.
There's been a lot of discussions on perk drop. Wait, did I just read? No. There's been a lot of discussion on perk drop rates recently. I'd really like to know if all perks are truly weighted equally and randomized, or if certain perks, i.e. newer ones, have drop priority. Weapon perks are weighted equally under all circumstances.
No kidding.
That's
Well,
wild too,
yeah.
because that was the big question whenever Xur sold main ingredient god rolls like 2 weeks in a row, and that's the same one everyone's still using to this day. Like that was just complete randomness that happened. That's crazy.
Huh. Zero
Yeah.
cases that the perks are more likely to roll than not. That just, I feel like it just goes against everything that I've felt in RNG in this game.
You know
It
what?
also is it's surprising after the map weighted thing we read,
Oh yeah.
Right.
I feel like this is similar to answers you get from YouTube and Google, where they're like, "Oh, there's no way that could happen," and then like a month later, like, "Oh yeah, sorry, the algorithm's now sentient and it did that. Sorry about that." And I feel like Bungie, like, "No, there's no way this could happen," and then they'll
Can we
find
double
like some
check this one?
spaghetti code from Destiny 1 that traversed the Paraverse and got into Destiny 2
But
somehow.
Bungie
Oh, it turns
installed
out if
Dolly.
you're wearing boots, then they actually are weighted.
Yeah.
We're sorry.
Yeah.
I'm curious what makes you feel that way, Mylan. Is it because for me, the one thing that makes me think like, am I sure this isn't weighted is when I roll like click buy on 2 different things that cost like 50, 100 shards to re-roll something, and you get the exact same perks 2 times in a row, and you're like, what are the
odds of
what just
that?
happened?
Yeah.
I guess that is technically RNG though. Like you're more likely to, like our brains see the duplicates and say, wait, there's a pattern forming. But in reality, like true randomness would have just random possibilities. And like it could have 2 of the same back to back or 3 of the same back to back. That's totally within the realm.
I mean, at this point, there's been so many bugs where it's like, if you are wearing this piece of armor that is this level, then you're more likely to get this thing to drop, and the Bungie didn't know about it, or like things have been introduced into the game, like skill-based matchmaking that one time, and everyone was like, "No, I swear
Yeah.
to God, it's here. It's very obvious," and they're like, "No, it's not." There's
Yeah.
so many bugs that can happen that so Bungie, I don't think they're lying to us. It's just there's so
Yeah.
much code in there.
They've set
that
a
I'm sure
precedent,
stuff
you
can get
know,
messed
like
up. Yeah.
Telesto shows up and it's like, well, it deleted half the game because Telesto existed. It'd be like, how is this possible? They're like, ah, it's code, it's spaghetti, it's this, it's whatever, it's the time of day, it's crazy.
Next, I've heard that you're reworking 20 exotic weapons in season 19. Why so many? We said we're touching 20 exotics, buffs, and nerfs, but the extent of that varies quite a bit. From a substantial rework, example Lord of Wolves,
Ooh.
to a small but impactful change with Legend of Acreus.
Okay.
So, but 20 is 20. But they also said small update. It's not 20, it's 26 now.
Yeah, they bumped it.
It's incredible, honestly.
That's a
'cause
lot.
I think.
It's because of Nezzy.
Wonder if that's just because of how Strand works and all that kind of stuff, or
Oh, yeah.
it wouldn't be
sure-
really. It's just like a big update, I guess, right?
Well, I'm sure like now they have all the 3.0 subclasses out in the wild as well. So I'm sure that's
Yeah,
gonna,
true.
take some where they're like, oh, okay, we want to do this and do this and do this. Because it's the first time that we've had it all working together and seeing how people are using it and et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah.
What are the criteria for reprising Destiny 1 weapons in Destiny 2? Okay, this is a big one.
Mm-hmm.
It's important to note that it's impossible to simply copy and paste Destiny 1 content into Destiny 2 because of engine changes and the significantly higher bar for art quality on current generation hardware. Any Destiny 1 content has to be rebuilt from scratch. They're basically the same development cost as brand new Destiny 2 weapons, and with some exceptions, we believe players significantly prefer new content over reprised.
Sure.
True.
It's like the original iPhone. You couldn't copy and paste. You had to retype everything. It's annoying.
For raids, we'll always reprise an exotic weapon associated with a raid when we bring that into Destiny 2. We'll select the 6 most popular legendary weapons and reprise those as well. One other thing, and this hasn't come up yet, but in the event that a raid didn't have an exotic, or the exotic is already back in the game, or there were fewer than 5 legendaries, we get to make new weapons. Wrath of the Machine, coming back, brand new exotic for the raid. Confirmed.
Wow.
Yeah,
That'd be
that's
cool.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. That's exciting. Just to see what they create themed around Siva.
Love it. Yeah.
That'd be super cool.
I'm glad to have one more confirmation that's like it is not a copy and paste from D1. You just hear it so much like, oh, just bring back my favorite gun from this or that. It's like, no, literally everyone we have like it, we might as well be making new stuff, so why don't we do that?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Or I'd rather you did,
like,
honestly.
Yeah. Yeah.
it obviously highlights like how little time is on the development of like the idea of the gun versus how long it actually takes to make it.
Yeah.
Because they're basically saying thinking of the idea of the gun and its identity and what it looks like takes so little time compared to actually putting it in the game that
Yeah,
it's almost the same amount of
implementation.
time.
Yep.
Right?
It's the same development cost, which is interesting as well. Well, I guess because the artists have to remake it, right?
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
Gotta rebuild the
they're
assets.
having to boost it
Well,
up.
surely
to
there's a
look lot
bunch of
better.
time in like concepting an exotic, right?
Yeah, but they didn't talk about time in this. They were just talking about cost.
You gotta pay someone, like you gotta pay concept designers to like
Yeah, but I
draw shit.
I think it comes down to like a concept team is probably working on multiple things at once, and it's probably not a
Yeah.
huge team.
Mm.
There's probably like a
Yeah.
select few that really concept those actual items because they're going to be big ticket items, that people like identify with. But then the actual implementation of the game significantly longer because everything has to be tuned, and they have to take the concepts and put them into actual production
That's what I'm
assets.
saying is like
Yeah.
in comparison, like the initial design of it is not as much as
Yeah,
With a lot of Destiny 1
Getting it
exotics lately,
functioning.
they've changed the functionality of it when they bring it to Destiny 2. So just because it
That's
looks
true.
the same doesn't actually mean it performs the same.
Yeah, like touch and mouse is different.
Oh, yeah, quite different. Okay. Why does Adagio have to be different on so many weapons? It's actually not. Adagio is only branched two ways, specifically to prevent it from being too strong on bows. One hit kills for getting a single bow kill is way too strong, and shotguns. Bow plus shotgun plus 20% damage, everything else plus 30% damage. Note that because of damage number rounding, it may be difficult for players to reverse engineer this in-game.
That's really similar to Gut Shot, the new
Mhm.
perk that lets you body shot when you zoom in. It's different on, I think, bows and something. It's very similar to this. But, you know, depending on what weapon archetype you're using, it could feel amazing or it could feel just complete like, why? I never want this perk on this gun.
Yeah. What does Zen Moment actually do? Each hit grants a stack, max 5, that lowers recoil. Reloading or not hitting for 1 second clears all stacks. As for what it does, maximum stacks massively reduce recoil. It's just, I guess, hard to maintain max stacks for Zen
Yeah,
Moment.
1 second, right? Gets cleared
Yeah,
fast.
or reloading. You just clear it all.
Yeah, just got to keep shooting.
In your opinion, would you use accuracy perks, e.g., firmly planted, on slug shotguns? By my testing, they seem to be very accurate by default. I don't observe much spread.
Slug shotgun?
Slug shotguns are very accurate, so it's likely only worth using accuracy perks if you plan on using them while airborne or in other situations that reduce accuracy. Makes sense?
Copy.
It is
Copy,
funny
write
that
down.
an airborne example was given for a firmly planted perk, which you have to be crouched on the
Yeah.
ground for.
That is funny.
That is true. What are the numbers on enhanced perks? Are there any guidelines or rules of thumb for all? Specifically, how much do the enhanced versions of Firmly Planted and Opening Shot give versus the base perks? The guideline is that an enhanced perk should be 5 to 10% stronger than a base perk. We do exceed this in some cases. Here's an example of the enhanced versions. Enhanced Firmly Planted grants an additional +5 stability and +5 handling. Enhanced Opening Shot grants an additional +5 range and +5 aim assist.
Love it.
Very
I love that they're
good.
giving exact details. I know for a lot of people this may not matter much, but for people who are doing like either in-depth guides or just like the math people that are trying to figure out these specifics on like, does it help? Does it matter to spend 2,000 of your building crafting resources to get an enhanced perk? You want to know like what I hope that
Yeah.
they find a way to put this stuff in game eventually. Because and sometimes they do list it, but it would be nice to see even more detail of like this percentage, like list that percentage
Yep.
in the game, because that's what I like doing on my videos is like, okay, if I'm talking about should you use this enhanced perk or that enhanced perk, it's nice to be able to say, okay, visualize it here. This is what your, let's say aim assist and range is usually at. But if you put this enhanced perk, it's actually this much. And if you add on like the trials perk alacrity, it's actually like boosting things this much, and just like go all out on what something's listing. And so this kind of like exact detail is really nice. And it's nice to know too that at least they give us a little bit here with the perk should be 5 to 10% stronger. Because I just had no idea what is the baseline. Because like you have a perk like Surrounded Enhanced with Surrounded spec gives you 47% damage buff, whereas like something else will give you like a 2% damage buff, like it. And so to have some sort of baseline, okay, 5 to 10%, that's good to know at least.
Also, the incandescence, I think it seems like that's significantly more than 5-10%, right? Isn't that a pretty big boost of what it spreads on the fire stacks, whatever, or the scorch
I
stacks?
don't have one.
I think maybe it could vary by like if it's a stat, it does like this kind of stuff, like stability, range, aim assist, handling. But if it's maybe damage, it operates in a different percentage, which complicates things even more. But
yeah, that makes sense. But you are absolutely right. Seeing the stuff in game would help tremendously because you're going to invest all those resources. Is that a good idea? You just don't know unless you go to Reddit or read posts like this and get super detailed about it.
Do you think there would be, this is playing devil's advocate, do you think there's a negative about having too much access to that information where it just becomes like
I do.
super meta. Like everyone's like, no, why are you using that? It's only like, you know, rather than just going, it feels good to me. People are like, oh no, it's like -1 compared to this light perk.
The problem for
Right,
me
yeah.
is if I start looking at too many numbers, like suddenly I'm trying to do math instead of just shooting enemies. You know what I mean? It's like I'm looking at all my weapons and I'm like comparing. Okay, this one's got +2 on this and +3 on this, and I'm like, which one should I be using? I don't even know. You know, like I'd rather just have it a
I
little
hear
simpler
ya.
for me personally.
I hear you, but if you're going to take the time to interface with the actual crafting system, then you're in that mindset already, and you're trying to min max. You know, because you can ignore crafting completely right now. You could be a new player and
You can.
completely
Yeah,
ignore
absolutely.
crafting, and you're going to still be playing Destiny. You know.
I do see the point of like like Destiny has a lot of mystery to it. It always has. It's one of the intriguing parts of the game, even on the PvP side. Like people have whole YouTube careers off of which, you know, perk you should go for. So I do think like there is a bit of that's fun, and I do understand the overwhelmingness. Like there's so many stats now when I'm looking at armor specifically, and it shows that massive like bars of like what all your armor looks like and what it's doing. I even get like, okay, wow, that's a lot of information. Like, can I hide that for a little bit?
Yeah.
And so maybe if there was a way to like, generally you don't see it, but you could like the way you see lore sometimes and hold down that trigger, you could like hold down that and see like, okay, the breakdown, it's 5%, you know, 10%, whatever.
Yeah.
Would be nice.
I am genuinely curious why the one quiet moment origin trait was created. What's the benefit of having increased reload outside of combat? The intended loop is to pause after an engagement to see whether you have another enemy to deal with before reloading, because being caught mid-reload is bad news. This is something that doesn't match everyone's playstyle though, so we'll be updating it in Season 19. That's good.
Glad to hear it.
Interesting. My thoughts and stuff like that is not everything is a home run. You know, like you kind of have to have some bland perks. You know.
Yeah, you do.
You do, yeah.
Yeah. Otherwise, everything is just neutral. If everything is.
Yeah, you can't be happy without feeling some sadness.
Exactly.
One quiet moment, that's the origin trait, so you're kind of like stuck with it on a group of weapons.
Yeah, true,
so I feel like that's a little different, but I do get what you're saying.
Yeah.
What is the minimum draw time on bows after the recent changes? Minimum draw time is 500 ms for lightweight frames and 540 ms for precision frames. Weapon perks can reduce this.
That part's actually crazy. I learned that 2 weeks ago studying the trials bow. The 500, it makes it so difficult to want to use lightweight bows when precision frames can get so low. And like in PvP, for instance, just with nothing, precision frames can 2 body shot anyone, and lightweights can't without like gut shot or something. So it puts them so close together. I kind of wish they would not bottom out at 500 for lightweight frames. It's just like a pet peeve of mine. And some of the bow community, I've been talking with a lot of them recently who are hardcore into it, and it's like, why do they have to bottom out? Couldn't they be faster? Wouldn't that be so cool? But I guess we did just get kill clip on a bow, so
True.
I versed this guy. I don't know. I think it was just quick play, and he was stomping the entire lobby. I don't even know what bow he was using. Actually, I do. It was a crafted one from Season of Chosen, I think.
under your skin, maybe.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
but he was in air. He was using it in the air. He was just flying around like Batman, and just I think it was two shot him. I honestly was so confused. I was like,
He was getting under your
was like,
skin.
what? He was getting under my skin. I was like, this is insane. It's actually pretty cool. I was sort of angry and impressed at the same time.
Oath Keepers will give you, if you're on a hunter, Oath Keepers give you plus 40 plus 40 airborne effectiveness. And so that combined with like an Icarus mod, you're basically have no accuracy penalty in the air with that bow, or the new Trials bow if you use like Oath Keepers. Yeah. It's really crazy.
That's pretty high.
Yeah.
Wow. I didn't realize he gave 40. That's crazy.
Yeah. By the way, Mylan, it's the Arrow. He was cosplaying as the Arrow, not Batman.
Copy that.
Yeah.
And now for the next part, I think it is only fair that Mylan takes this one, because this is
Nutbush?
Well,
Coming away?
it's a whole Australian segment.
Oh,
Yeah.
odds on! I didn't realize we had a whole Aussie segment. Neighbors or home and away? Do you guys even know what that means?
Yes.
Nah, I know what home and away means,
I
but
prefer neighbors.
They're
Personally.
both like Australian soap operas, 6
Oh.
p.m., 5 p.m. on just about essentially Australian neighborhood life.
Neighbors.
Wow.
Everybody needs good
Just
things.
Yeah.
When you're drinking your Fosters and when you're going down to the beach and you're a budgie
Mhm.
smuggler.
Home and away.
Yep. Like that's
Yep.
where which one- it must. I think it's home. I don't watch either because I was cool as a kid and I've had a life as an adult. But
it's all lies.
I watched them in England, Mylan.
yeah,
Come on
yeah,
now.
yeah,
Which one
yeah.
was
Oh,
Rick
yeah.
Springfield on?
Who?
Rick
Huh?
Springfield? No, nothing, huh?
Kylie
Don't know Rick
Minogue was
Springfield?
on. Kylie Minogue started on Home and Away. I think.
Yeah.
Oh.
No
A
kidding.
lot of
Yep.
like famous Australians that ended up doing something else started on one of those shows.
Huh.
Yeah. But that's where you get like your Flaming Galar and stuff like that. They came up with very, very this Alf. I think it's Alf on Home and Away. He says stuff. Everyone's like, oh my god. Flaming Galar. Other Australian insults. Nutbush emotes. When's it coming to the game? Next thing.
Yeah.
Finally, Australian-ish dance. We're getting.
Yeah.
We've
Are we
already
gonna have to
spoken
buy
about
that from Eververse? Because god damn it, you got me.
Yeah.
I will part with money for that one.
Yeah,
That's
same.
why I'm doing a Nutbush week, and you can unsubscribe for a month. The Nutbush month. You can unsubscribe, save that $5, and go get some silver and get the Nutbush. Come back. Okay. When do we get a truly Ocker perk? Ocker, Australian. Perk names like Drongo, Tuup, Rakoff, and Struth. Do you guys
Wait,
even know
it
what's being
says
said here?
Ocker, but you said Aka?
Yeah, you would say Ocker.
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 Hmm.
Ocker.
Yeah.
Like
Okay.
Aussie, like Australian. Ocker.
Okay.
Like Bogan almost. Very Ocker.
Huh.
Weapon
Right,
names
break
so
it down.
far.
Break it down, Milo.
Oh,
We
yeah,
need to know
Dron- oh,
Drongo,
you know
to up
Drongo?
rack off truth.
You're Drongo?
I remember
an
vaguely
idiot.
about the Drongo. Yeah.
You're Drongo. Yeah. Tuup is like the gambling with a it's like it's a game you play with a coin. Flip it. I think it's with a coin.
Is it heads or tails?
Is it heads tails? I can't remember. Tuup. I don't play Tuup. Rack off, just go away. And Struth.
Truth.
Strength
Truth,
and truth
surprise,
combined?
I guess.
No, it's
Surprise.
Oh,
okay.
truth. That's a big one.
Yeah, like
True.
general surprise, Struth. Yep. Yeah. Weapon names so far, there's been a fair amount of them, not accidental, such as Tarabar, Funnel Web, Redback. I don't know this one. Lu
What is
Nulata.
Luna Lada?
Luna?
I don't even know.
Oh,
Oh.
hold up.
Lulu
Funnel.
Lada?
Let's bring it back to
Sounds like
funnel
coffee.
web.
Yeah.
Let's bring it back to funnel
What's-
web. What does funnel web mean? How do you use
It's
it
a
in the
spider.
context?
It's a Funnel Web spider.
Oh, it's not a saying.
Oh, that makes sense
No.
because it's a viced weapon, right? And aren't all
Yeah.
viced weapons different kinds
Yeah.
of spiders?
Oh,
Have you not seen
wow.
Funnel
Kind of
Webs?
poisonous stuff. Yeah.
I feel like
Yeah,
that's
they're-
Aussie adjacent. Not exactly. You know what I mean?
They're known. They're the trapdoor spiders, and they can be particularly nasty. And you can find them in your boots and stuff like that. You tap out your boot, and a big bloody spider falls out.
Yeah.
Oh.
That would suck.
Fun.
Mm-mm.
No, thank you.
What's
Yeah,
a redback?
Yeah.
A redback. You know a redback? Come on now,
So,
redback spider.
So
Yeah,
it's
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 another
just
spider.
all
So
just animals.
everything
that
on
will
Australia
kill
is a
you, what
spider.
I'm-
It's a
Yeah.
Well,
redback,
you've got
a redback.
Taraba, which is also like an angry animal.
let me
Yeah.
guess. Lunulata is another spider that'll kill you.
I'm
gotta
just looking
be.
it up now.
Yeah, look it up. What is it? Another thing that will kill you.
Yes,
Oh,
it's
surprise,
the blue.
it's a snake.
It's the blue ringed octopus that will really
Oh,
that will
Nice.
something like
100%
in
kill
the
you.
sea.
that will really kill you.
So
Yeah.
all of the things in Destiny named after Australian stuff is just angry.
Yeah, it's just
Yeah,
death.
angry.
Angry animals that want to kill you.
Yeah.
I'm still
Oh,
not
yeah.
sure if the Luna Lotta is like real or if it is a drop bear situation.
Oh.
Drop bears are
This
real.
is I tell you what.
Wait,
you
are
see
you saying the drop bear
blue
isn't
ringed
real?
octopus,
Yeah, drop bears
it's
are real.
not
Come
a
on
drop
now.
bear situation. I'm not joking. Swim away.
Swim away from octopi.
Swim away from the octopi. It will get ya. Yeah, redbacks are like they're very household, like common spider that you'll have like under the Barbie, under the chairs, stuff like that. That's why we just had a gent come around and spray the house for redbacks and other spiders because they can kill your pets and they're very small and they got a tiny little red marking on their bum bit, whatever
on their
body
back.
part is. Yeah, on their back, right?
I gotta have
marking on
a
their
exterminator come to my house and kill some bees. I got bees living in like the window frame.
Whoa.
They've like gone into the window frame, and I've tried spraying
You
them
got a
from the
hive?
outside, but I can't get it in there to kill them. And now I think they're coming into the house.
You got a hive in the house? In the
I
walls?
think so. Like it's
Yeah.
between the walls. I think.
Yeah, they
And
do
it-
that.
you
You
coming
need to
into
get
the
one
house.
of those beehive kits you can buy. Let them set up
Turn them
shop out
into
the back and get
pets.
some honey.
Yeah. That's the way.
No, I want them dead.
I think
No,
they're.
you
It
can't
sounds.
kill bees. They're a
We
protected
need
species.
the bees,
It
Brian.
sounds
Yeah,
like the
need the
bees
bees.
have already
Not these
burrowed
ones.
into your house. It sounds like you already
These
have
ones
a
are
hive.
no good. These ones are squatters. Can't have
Squatters, yeah. One time, Memes and I were staying at my cousin's house in Santa Monica, and we woke up to this buzzing noise. We're like, "What the hell?" And there was a hive that was literally like had moved in to the wall. Like,
Oh, God.
where we were sleeping, and like this
Right, can't have
ominous
that.
hum was happening. I was like,
Not
"Wow,
allowed.
yeah."
This
So.
is our house, not your house.
I'm okay with bees.
some
I'm not okay with
flowers.
wasps. Wasps are bad
Ooh,
news.
yikes!
Yeah, well, that's bad.
Is that it for the Australian stuff? Or is there still more stuff?
Is it for
That
the
was it.
Australian stuff? Do you want to continue? You passing it off to someone?
Yeah,
Okay.
why not? Yeah.
Yeah,
What
yeah.
favorite weapon perk combination does the weapon team have? Proctor says perpetual motion and surrounded on sidearms and subbies.
Okay.
Brandon says heating up a rampage on pulse rifles. Okay, must be dad. Vivian says stats for all and reservoir burst on fusion. Would you agree with that?
That's really interesting. I actually had because I don't normally think of them in context of PvE, but I'm starting to. But that's
PvE,
super
right.
interesting because it blows up, and then however many people it hits, I'm guessing just like unrelenting. If you hit a group of people, it heals you. I'm guessing if the burst hits a group of people, stats for all activates. So
Yeah.
that's pretty cool. The next one's the one that I really like, though.
Okay, well, you read it then. What's it say?
Yeah. Alex Intern put Grave Robber and Golden Tricorn on arc weapons for PvE, which Golden Tricorn, have y'all ever tried putting that on? It sounds so
I
complicated,
read it, I
but
get confused. I'm like,
Yes.
ah, it's too much effort, and then I don't use it.
Yeah.
Okay, that's-
Situational, right?
that's the thing is like it sounds confusing, but with like stuff like Arc 3.0, with like Knockout on a Titan, your powered melee's up all the time. Or if you're using Hunter with like Caliban's hand, something like that, where you're just explosions all the time. All you have to do is get a kill. It's kind of like Rampage. Gives you 7 seconds of a 15% damage buff. So that already is great. 7
Wait, so
seconds,
is it
15%.
powered melee does it?
Before that, rewind. So just a weapon kill. You get 7 seconds of a 15% damage buff, and then the powered melee or grenade kill that matches the element. So like if you're running right now I've been running I've been running the solar grenade launcher waveframe one from last season, and so I've been running solar hammer Titan to get that. So I shoot the waveframe, get a kill, hammer my solar hammer that I have all the time, and then you get 10 seconds of 50% damage buff.
Whoa,
10
wow.
seconds. And that
Okay.
is that's just the weapon buff. And so you can stack on any empowering buff on top of that, like Weapons of Light or a Well or whatever. And you can stack a debuff from like Tractor Cannon or anything else. And then you can also stack Font of Might, which you are automatically activating because you're getting your melee or grenade kill if you're running melee well maker, grenade well maker. And so the way I see it, even if you don't have anything else, you just have Golden Tricorn, and then you have your Font of Might from your powered melee kill.
Yeah.
You always pretty much have like a 10-second 87.5% damage buff with the Font of Might plus 50%. That's a crazy, insane amount of damage, and nobody runs it.
That sounds pretty
So it
tasty.
sounds like Alex the intern needs a bloody level up. He
Yeah.
needs a promotion.
Yeah.
He's yeah, he knows what's up. Okay. Mercules says moving target.
Mercules.
Mercules.
Mercury.
Moving target perpetual motion.
I wonder if
plus
Mercules.
kill clip.
Sorry, I was stepping
Right.
on. Moving target perpetual. Yeah.
Yep, and kill clip. And
Uh,
George says
I
perpetual
just wanna
motion,
know-
killing wind.
I just want to know if Mercules shows up in a tank top every day at work.
Probably.
In my fantasies, he does.
You know, let's say it's storming, it's cold outside, you know, in Seattle. He still is in a tank top. You know?
Did he
Yeah.
move to Seattle? I don't remember.
Oh, did he? I don't know.
I
Well, if
don't
he
know.
didn't,
Good
then
question. Yeah,
Okay,
okay, they
then-
did announce they had that new hiring process that was going to be like stay-at-home workers from around the country at certain states.
okay. If he has a Zoom call, I really hope he's in a tank top every single time.
I think he would be.
I like
He
to
would be.
imagine him from the bottom and down.
We all have that friend who shows up, you know, in flip flops and
Yeah.
you know, shorts, even if it's freezing outside.
Yep.
Taylor says killing wind and multi-kill clip.
Mm.
Right. Next question. What replica weapon would each designer want? All right. Proctor wants Deadman's Tail. Brandon wants Lorenz Driver.
Mm.
Vivian says Redacted Season 19 Solar
Redacted.
Exotic.
Okay.
Redacted.
Okay. Alex says Redacted Lightfall Raid Exotic.
Not fair.
Taraba is close.
This is interesting though, because we could
It is.
speculate heavily on this. If Taraba is their close second favorite exotic weapon that they want a replica of,
Now that that's an
then-
animal.
yes, that's where I was.
Can
going
it kill
with
you?
that.
Lightfall will be
Okay,
a
I'm
shark,
guessing.
a shark or something.
I'm guessing it's gonna be a Strand SMG that maybe you do the reload and it shoots entangling bullets, entangles
Yeah,
enemies.
and it's named after the most deadly Australian animal, the emu.
Yeah.
You know what? Probably because Lightfall is about cloud striders, and
the
falling.
emus.
what flying animal falls? Emus
Yeah. Well, drop bears too.
Ah,
and Robert. Drop bears,
that
Johnny.
makes sense.
This is bullshit. They all just put redacted.
I know, right?
Redacted season 19 kinetic.
It is
George
kind of
is
cool.
Oh,
Redacted
but this
season
is
18.
interesting because
Face of the Lost?
George says, yeah, season 18 Festival of the Lost weapon.
Which we know what it is too, but
Do
I don't want to say what it is because I'm pretty sure it's only if you go to like light.gg or, you know,
Oh.
something like that. It's in there and you can see the archetype and everything. And I'm very excited as well. That's all I'm
If you
saying.
want
I
to
don't
see
wanna-
it,
Really?
then well,
Okay.
it'll be in chat in like 2 seconds, I'm sure. But we won't say it on the podcast just in case.
Wait, isn't Festival of Lost coming up? Isn't that happening
Yeah.
real soon? Yeah.
Yeah, October.
Yeah.
Spooky season.
Like next week or something? Or
Must be
2 weeks?
soon.
I don't know when it is.
I think they would say it's next week if it was next week in here.
You're right.
I think
Yeah.
it's
My
2
bad. 2 weeks. 2 weeks. Most likely.
Taylor says grid skipper. He's the only person that's played by the rules and said, yeah, okay, I'm not going to just say
Yeah.
redacted. Good one.
Grid Skipper is really cool looking.
I'd be interested in looking at what perks make god rolls on what weapons. What would be recommended for a scout rifle, subby, a pulse? What works and why? Oh, here we go. Big paragraph from Mercules. Depends on a lot on what the role of the weapon is going to be. These roles can be broken up into some general areas. PvE, regardless of the role, general perks and increased damage, increased magazine size, grant ammo, or improved reload are prioritized for ad clear. Yellow bar, champ killer, and DPS weapons. Ad clearing as a PvE option, I guess. Perks that trigger on final blows are great, like Rampage, Subsistence, Swashbuckler, and Feeding Frenzy. Tanky target and DPS, perks that trigger naturally or from dealing damage, like Frenzy, Firing Line, Rapid Hit, and Triple Tap. And then
tank top
PvP
DPS.
category, two very different styles. Dueling, perks that increase the consistency of the gun in 1v1 engagements, like moving target, rangefinder, opening shot, eye of a storm. And killing chain, perks that provide dramatic improvements to weapons performance after a kill, like kill clip, tunnel vision, killing wind, rampage. You know what? That's pretty handy.
Yeah.
Okay. What is your opinion on rangefinder drastically changing the effective engagement distances on weapons? The zoom benefit already improves damage fall off and effective accuracy, but the aim assist fall off increase feels like a lot. We'll be removing the added aim assist fall off in the mid-season balance pass. The perk is ridiculously strong with just zoom bonus. Doesn't need to increase aim assist fall off in addition to that.
I do. Yeah. I think Watt stepped away for a second. I wanted to say with the rangefinder stuff, this is I feel like this is a really big deal, and Merc hinted at it a little while ago because there's a lot of people in the community right now who are kind of going over what exactly the rangefinder perk means for SMGs, for instance. Like a borrowed time with rangefinder can hit just so much further than, like, for instance, Teraba, and makes it such a stronger dueling weapon, because if a weapon doesn't have rangefinder, it just isn't hitting at the ranges no matter how much zoom or range actual stat you have, because the extended aim assist is helping you connect all your shots. This is actually the reason, Tefty, whenever I was on last time, I recommended Epicurean as like the new fusion rifle that's great. The reason that I recommended that was because it has rangefinder, and like no other fusion rifle has rangefinder right now, and it is the thing that makes that thing feel so good, because your aim assist and the bolts connecting is hitting it 30% further fall off distance for your aim assist. And so when it's good that they're addressing this, because it makes it the only thing for at least PvP that you want to go for ever on anything is rangefinder. And so it's great that they're addressing this stuff. But at the same time, I'm like, Epicurean, like some of my favorite weapons is like it has nothing else but rangefinder. And so it's like, okay, we're gonna have to readjust our mindset on a few things, but it is ridiculous. He says it's ridiculously strong, and it absolutely is. I'm wondering though, they just said they're only removing it on rangefinder. I don't think they say it anywhere else. You can also find a very similar perk on let me make sure I get this right. It's not near as much, but like Killing Wind will give you a 5% increased damage fall off distance after a kill, which just makes it all the more insane that rangefinder is giving that 30%
All the time.
increase.
Massive.
Yeah, all the time.
Uptime all the time for doing nothing.
Just ADS. Get 30%
Good
bonus
context.
increase.
Yeah. Is someone going to fix the Fate of All Fools perk on the Jade Rabbit? It's totally inconsistent and sometimes doesn't work at all. I honestly don't use Jade Rabbit, and except for that 1 week with trials, and it was Eternity. Was it Eternity? Whatever the map was. I put it on, but I actually didn't even really bother paying. What does anyone know what the perk does? Fate of All Fools? Anyway.
Oh, real quick before we do, I need to correct something I just said. Killing Wind is not damage aim assist. It's not aim assist fall off distance. That's damage fall off distance. So it's a little different. Just wanted to correct that real quick for anybody who comes at me later.
It's all right. They'll come for you anyway. Yes, the perk was having similar issues to what was going on with Cranial Spike on Deadman's. The plan is to change it so the rapidly chaining precision hits, basically the same trigger as triple tap, will make your next body shot deal the same damage as a crit. Okay. You'll be able to store up 3 increased body shots at a time. So if you hit 9 crits quickly, that sounds like me, you could follow up that and kill someone in PV with 3 body shots. Copy that. Right. So you want it's super head sick. I get it. Oh, okay. It's just head sick. Okay.
Yeah.
It's cool. Yeah.
Basically, we want to reward accuracy and then make the gun easy to use instead of the other way around. Okay. How do you feel about Season 17 and Season 18 balance changes now that they have been in the wild for a decent amount of time? I think most of them landed pretty well, all things considered. High impact. Scout rifles probably got overbuffed by a small bit. Auto rifles probably did not get buffed enough. Okay. We've seen both precision frame scouts and hand cannons come up in usage and effectiveness, which is great. Any thoughts on how Sandbox is feeling if you were in the Sandbox because you can tolerate the SPMMMMM? No thoughts? Okay.
Sandbox seems fine at the moment.
Yeah.
I'd say.
I was just last night on a Crucible roundtable with some guys for a different show, and at the conclusion, like we kind of went through all the different stuff we were frustrated with, and like with SBMM and some other things, and then we started talking about the Sandbox, and pretty much unanimously there was people who were big into hand cannon shotguns, people who were big into fusion, just a roundtable of very different players, and we were all like, the Sandbox feels really good. Like we were all like just minor adjustments, and so we kind of were trying to get down, why aren't more people playing Crucible? And it had more to do with the SBMM and game modes and map selection,
Mhm.
that kind of stuff.
But more
Yeah.
people should be playing Crucible with SBMM.
Do you think
That's
just
the
people
point.
don't know?
Yeah, I don't. I feel like that's a tough one for me to talk about because this is something I mentioned last time too, which is hilarious because I've been thinking about it. I mentioned Watts like just run stupid stuff and always do bad, and then your
Yeah.
matchmaking will change. And I think that mine is. I'm not even kidding. I think that I've run such stupid stuff because somebody looked me up the other day on like Destiny Tracker, not Bungie stats. Obviously, we don't know what that is, but just like on other sources, like. You're not even in the top 30%. Like you're a top point whatever trials player, and you're not even in the top 30% of people. I was like, well, I just run stupid stuff. That's literally all I do.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll do it. Or just play with your friends. As long as
Yeah.
they're not absolute gaming legends.
Mhm.
You're not allowed to be my friend if you're a gaming legend.
Also, I want to
Yep.
point out that we don't actually know the population of the Crucible.
Mm.
You know, what we're doing is we're taking a measurement of what people say online, and people talking about it online tend to be a smaller group of people than the people actually jumping in these playlists. So
And
I
angry.
don't know. And angry, yeah, quicker to bring up problems than just be chilling and enjoying it. So I don't know. I think that if there is more people playing Crucible, I doubt there's going to be more discussions from those people enjoying it. They're just going to be like,
Yeah.
"Oh, I'll jump in and play some Crucible, and then I'm done for the night."
Well, we have some numbers for Crucible stuff.
Yeah.
Depends like how accurate they are though, right?
Mm.
Yeah. At the end of the day, like I mean, I don't want to go completely down this rabbit trail because that could be a whole podcast in and of itself. But at the end of the day, for me, it's like whatever gets more people playing. Yes, I want that. Like, yeah, I want it to be a enjoyable experience, but people won't stick around if it's not. So I feel like they should know by the numbers what is enjoyable and what is not.
I saw Chad just bring up pulse rifles, and I probably would agree with the sandbox. Like, probably why I'm having fun because the BXR feels really good at the moment.
Oh yeah,
I do
it's amazing,
think
yeah.
that you probably get over pulse rifles pretty quickly, especially at the high end of play, like trials and stuff like that. But they're all different game modes too. They're very slower, methodical gameplay. But yeah, pulses are probably doing pretty well at the moment.
And they get into that in a second, which is great.
do
Like
they?
the small tweaks that they make, I'm like, oh yeah, that's the stuff. Like that's like exactly the spots I would hit. And it's nothing crazy huge, but it's all like just minor stuff, except for maybe Glaives, which prayers for Glaive users out there. I'm not sure how that's going to go.
Okay, we'll keep banging on, and then we can maybe get to that. What future balance changes should we'll be looking forward to? All right, mid-season balance pass. We'll be making a number of changes, both under and overperforming archetypes. Okay, here's the dot points. Sizable stability bump for auto rifles and trace rifles. Okay, so maybe we'll see some auto rifles come back in. Small buff to critical hit damage on adaptive frame pulse rifles and precision frame auto rifles. Small buff to critical hit damage. What is BXR? It's a lightweight, isn't it? It's a lightweight? I remember.
Which
It's
one?
its own archetype, BXR, the Halo
Oh yeah,
pulse rifle. Technically, it's its own frame type because of whatever they did with it, but I think it actually falls under something else.
A lot of
Slightly
people are
reduced-
big fans. Sorry. Go ahead.
Go on.
I was just gonna say a lot of people are really big fans of like syncopation is an adaptive frame. I think that stasis one that you can get right now it has like really good hip fire that almost competes with the BXR. So that might be
I like
one
that
that
one a
kind of
lot.
we see rise a little bit because you can craft it.
Slightly reduce effective range on pulse rifles at low to mid stat values. Okay, fair. Nerfs to Jade Rabbit, no time to explain. Ease of use. Ease of use. That's very
what does that
vague.
mean?
Well, like Jade
Nerfs?
Rabbit, they're adjusting that last perk, so it's easier to use, right? I wonder if no time to explain will get a similar kind of.
But it says
Small
nerfs to Jade Rabbit
change.
and no time to explain ease of use. Like they're nerfing
yeah.
the ease ability.
That's
It's
weird.
weird.
I don't know what ease of use means. They're obviously very prominent in long range.
It probably, if I were to take a guess, when they talk about ease of use, a lot of times it has to do with aim assist.
Yeah, that's
lot
what
of
I'm
fair.
Yeah. Continuation of the Lord of Wolves rework, getting blasted. Small rocket launcher blast radius buff. Okay, that's not bad. Glaive damage resistance nerf. PvE,
Yeah.
PvP. What are we talking about here?
I feel like both
Both?
probably because
Probably
they're like
both.
indestructible in PvE, right? You stand there. That was actually my every time that I've done the raid, I'll be like, yeah, I'll take Golgoros Gaze. Like, I don't mind. I'll just stand there literally with a raid shield as the poison things come at me and you just
Yeah.
can't die.
Yeah.
Hmm.
I took a glaive into Master Kingsfall and had no problem running it the whole time. In fact, it was an advantage to have a glaive and be like the Aeon ammo producer because you just basically block until they're
Mhm.
like finishable and then you're done.
Hmm.
Oh,
Yeah.
one last thing on the glaive damage resistance. They're about to get really strong because in a second they talk about improved hit detection for glaives. And if they fix glaives right now, they're only a point. I think in trials this last weekend it was a 0.6 kill, like 0.6% of the kills in trials this last weekend were glaives. And so once they fix the hit detection problems where you're not getting your shield on a hit, or you hit someone and it doesn't apply damage and you shoot them again and then it kills them and you're like, what the heck? Like, what just happened? Like, once they fix that stuff, they're going to be very, very strong in Crucible, like oppressively strong, to the point where Crucible players are like, please no. And so I think this is kind of like, hey, we see this coming. We know that they're going to be strong. Usage rates might rise. And if people who are good with them start using them, there's nothing you can do once you get that shield up. So you got to figure out something you can do other than just throw stasis at them or use Wither Horde.
Yeah.
Fair. Sidearm aim assist fall off buff. Okay, so you're gonna have increased aim assist at greater range? Question mark.
That make me happy.
Me too.
I hate you both. I always get killed by sidearms. I can never. Nothing more annoying than getting killed by a weapon and then trying to use a weapon and you can't use it, and that's
Yeah,
sidearms
right.
me. I can never get sidearms working.
You know what's the trick for me is I cannot literally pull the trigger like fast enough on any of them, so I just slap a full auto mod on every
that
and
does
now
help.
we can still put targeting on, use that
Yeah.
extra aim assist, and do the full auto whatever they have planned for integrating it. So that's gonna be
Yeah,
nice.
and this is that would be nice. Yeah.
Real quick,
go on.
Super Saiyan chat did say that Merc on Twitter said the damage resistance nerf is PvP only.
Oh, okay.
Yep, there you
Interesting. Okay.
Fair. I don't think people use them enough yet. I think once people discover them in raids, or we see something stupid like a world's first with like all glaive runners, like just I don't know, tanking damage somehow, then maybe they'll look at them. But I feel like they're in the same pot where the usage rate isn't super high, so they're sort of letting them fly. Sniper flinch rework. That seems like it should be a big bullet point, but that's what we got.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah, like hello, what? Hello,
Huh?
what does it
Yes,
mean?
huh?
What are we doing? Are we,
Rework
are we
on
doing
sniper
more
flinch.
flinch?
Yeah, more or
No.
less.
Rework. Rework doesn't
They-
say nerf or buff.
They go into detail on this later. Basically, they want the summary of what they say is they want it to, like, you know, when you're laying into somebody like 2 or 3 bullets and then they still snipe you and you're like, oh my God, where that's not as possible. And it's like, yeah, you'll still have
That's good.
trades. Yeah, you'll still have, but like the reticle will go so far up and take so long to get back down that it
They
won't
have been
happen as
trying to
quickly.
fix that for like 6 years.
I know. But it's a balance though, because like if you do it if you flinch too much, no one will use snipers. But yet
Yeah.
if you just go across that line and they don't flinch enough, then snipers are just so oppressive
Yeah.
and there's just nothing you can do against them. So it's a tough line.
Well, and also
So
latency
now-
too. Latency adjusts that
Yeah.
when it
True.
gets
Yeah.
activated, the flinch.
So now instead of me aiming at the body, because I'm gonna get flinched to the head, I'm gonna aim at the toes.
Aim at
The
the
toes.
toes.
Yeah.
Hey,
Yeah.
fusion
Very
rifles have prepared me for this. Aim at the toes.
True.
Yeah.
Aim for the toes.
Very small tweaks to submachine guns that are outperforming their intended ranges. I thought that had already happened. I feel like are not subbies in a good space? What's cross mapping
Small
people
tweaks.
right now?
Small tweaks.
I think
man.
rangefinder is honestly like I'm
Just
kind of
range-
confused.
yeah.
I
Yeah.
feel like if they nerf rangefinder, SMGs would be a lot better in general because that is the true map range. Like borrowed time Gambit SMG with rangefinder is can't say enough how strong it is.
Yeah.
Small decrease to high impact scout rifle damage. Some outliers that have zoom levels outside normal parameters are being brought back in line. Interesting. They don't tell us what it is, so we can't use them. Risk runner PvP arc damage resistance reduction will still remain ridiculous in PvE. Okay. I haven't really seen too many risk runners in PvP recently, but maybe because of Arc 3.0, they've been popular.
Yeah, I'd imagine.
Probably.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's tough to play against them if someone's running it and you're running Arc 3.0.
Yeah, I haven't really seen them, but yeah, that would be annoying, I guess. In season 19, we have an additional list of changes we'll be making, including removing some shotgun randomness. They previously spoke about that, actually, right?
Yeah.
Trying to reduce that. Improved hit detection for glaives. That's what you just said. Reworking, changing nearly 20 weapon perks. Reworking, changing over 20 exotics.
Yeah,
lot.
It's a lot.
Woo.
It's a lot of testing. Right. Do trace rifles have accuracy bloom as you hold down the trigger? No. That's it.
Okay.
No.
Nope.
No. Nope. Is under pressure going to be nerfed on fusion rifles? How are you going to finally rein in Zer's main ingredient without diminishing precision frames as a whole? Okay. We're not
Love
going
this.
to nerf under pressure on fusion rifles. Most likely thing we'll do if main ingredient usage doesn't come down naturally is lower its stats. This will
Wow.
allow us to avoid hitting all precision frame fusion rifles, give other weapons in the subfamily room to breathe. That being said, precision frame fusion rifles are, as a subfamily outside of main ingredient, are still very strong, and we're looking at them too.
This is
There you
so
go.
fantastic. I just the fact that they're specifically hitting main ingredient. I'm surprised they haven't done it already. I'm like, please, like it's been so hot for so long. And even to me personally, I don't think it's the best. Maybe it is with Rangefinder right now if you've got that role, but most people are using Zer's role, which doesn't have that. And it's nice to know that they're not nerfing under pressure, because that's so nice on so many other roles, and people would be like bummed that their god rolls are kind of messed up. And it's nice that they're not just nerfing precision frames as a whole. They're still going to be looking at them, but main ingredient is kind of the
it's an outlier.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can see it in Trials report every single weekend as a top 10 weapon. So
I reckon you keep going from here. Like, I'll
Yeah,
pass it to
yeah.
you now.
I'll take it. Are there any plans to add more subclass verbs to more exotics? Lots of plans, nothing concrete to share now, but we're always on the lookout for places where we can add subclass verbs. We have to be cautious, as some of the intrinsic functionality of the verbs may actually be worse than what is on the exotic weapon, or the uptime of the verb on the exotic weapon would cause severe balance issues with subclass interactions.
I'd imagine that's got to be a super tricky balance to figure out.
Yeah.
Because, yeah, I mean, suddenly you got something where people are unkillable and easily soloing like master level content. Or not
Yeah.
soloing, but, you know, like,
Yeah.
yeah.
You can see it spiral out pretty quick with
Yep.
exotics. And
Exactly.
Like
Yep.
verb synergy.
Agreed. Will skill-based matchmaking, SBMM, being present in control have any effect on the way we handle weapon balancing? We already use survival and trials as more indicative game modes for balancing purposes. Survival has had SBMM, and trials has the flawless pull, which enables us to see what good players use and what is effective when they are more likely to care about winning. I personally am really glad that they're using survival and trials as kind of like the dictation of like, is this too strong? Because this is like where the hardcore people are playing and what they're using. Because that's what I do when I go to test a weapon, either that or Rumble. So it's kind of cool that that's the way that they're kind of balancing stuff. I also like, so where is it here? They say it somewhere. No,
While
I
you look
thought,
for that, it's interesting that, like,
oh, it's the next thing. Okay.
that being said, though, they're very different game modes as well. Like, people play
Yeah.
differently.
Yeah.
So it's sort of like they already favor certain types of weapons and archetypes just because
True.
you only have one life.
Mhm.
So
And I think they've got to be aware of that too, because like you don't test out kill clip as much in or something like Golden Tricorn in PvP, where you like have to get a kill and then a melee kill. You have to stack this different stuff up. They're not
yeah,
like
exactly.
tracking that stuff in survival or trials because it's almost impossible. So definitely, I feel like they've got to be looking at both. The part I left out here, Proctor says something at the end. He adds a little note. If skill-based matchmaking continues to roll out over time, it may give us the option to revisit weapon skill gaps. I don't want to read too much into this, but the way this is phrased, the if skill-based matchmaking continues to roll out over time, like has to make me think that they're not like, this is a for sure the bed we've made and we're sticking to skill-based matchmaking. We're looking like there's a chance it may not stick around, but I can't help but read it that way.
I mean, they would have to adjust things over time. Like they're gonna tinker with the algorithm on that.
Also, pretty certain. I say pretty certain. At least I've talked about it with a lot of other Crucible players that a comp rework is very likely for next season. And if that happens and we get more skill-based matchmaking focus over there, maybe they'll loosen up more on control. But I don't know.
That's why they're resurrecting Nezzy. He's going to run the comp playlist.
The comp playlist.
Yeah, that's probably
New vendor.
Yeah.
That's probably what it is.
Yeah, they've already said they're reworking comp, so
Witness training.
yeah. Disciple training.
Disciple training, yeah.
But yeah, that's interesting that they're giving an option to revisit weapon skill gaps based off of the skill-based matchmaking in Control. It's like a whole other way they're analyzing stuff. I'll just move on to the next one. What are your plans for sniper rifle and special linear fusion rifle flinch? For sniper rifle flinch, we have dramatically increased the time it takes for the reticle to reset back to center after taking damage, which in playtests has been a marked decrease in the amount of times players are able to shoot through flinch. We also greatly decrease PvE flinch to counter this.
Okay.
Okay.
This will not prevent players from trading with the sniper rifle in their first shot, nor will it hurt players using sniper rifles who disengage to allow the reticle to reset before peeking again. But it should hopefully address the instances of hitting someone using a sniper rifle with multiple crits only to get sniped through it.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the thing I was talking about earlier.
Yeah, that's great because that annoys me the most when I'm dumping bullets into someone and yet they still snipe me through massive flinch. I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah, the part that I wish they would reverse here is they said at the end, if this change plays out successfully in the game outside of testing, we will try to mitigate it over to the special linear fusion rifles, which I'm like, can we do it with both? Like right away, please? Oh my gosh.
Yeah, they seem like it desperately needs that as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, sniping this season has been, I would say maybe a bit more difficult just because so many people are using scouts and pulse rifles.
Pulses, yeah.
Pulse rifles flinch the living crap out of you already.
Yeah.
So,
I used that. Like I had two people trying to snipe me before, and I was just slamming them with the BXR, and they couldn't hit anything.
Yeah, that's what I used to do in trials in D1. It was like if there were snipers on the other team, put on messenger, and that's kind of how it is now. Still, very hard to snipe through a whole pulse rifle lobby.
I've started just not even using long range stuff because I know there's pulses and snipers are so strong right now that I've just run everything in that mid close range. I run Burden of Guilt when I'm doing like trials, just like trying to push through a solo thing, just Burden of Guilt in that kinetic slot or the primary slot. And then in my other slot, I've got Devil's Ruin. So I just always have something to take out somebody in the medium range and just get as close as possible. Cause I just can't fight pulse rifles over and over again.
Mm-hmm.
Any fusion rifle, oh my gosh, this one. Any fusion rifle changes coming, like a rapid fire frame buff. We want to see how the shotgun changes land before we rebuff rapid fire frames. Can I just tell y'all, this is me speaking, not the thing. This scares the crap out of me. A rapid fire frame, the Cartesian coordinate, was what I don't think I brought this up on the last time I was on, but I grinded out to the #1 Rumble player in the world 2 or 3 seasons ago. And a rapid fire frame was basically the reason I was able to do it. And so the fact that they're thinking about rebuffing them when they're in a really good spot after the nerfs that they've gotten is
I thought they were good. Yeah. I'm pretty sure after our last podcast, I went and played around with fusion rifles in PvP, and I think I preferred Cartesian nearly over everything I had.
Yeah. Cartesian is great.
I can't believe they're even considering. They've done such a good job of reining in the range on that thing that if they buff them, they can be so consistent, particularly Cartesian or Zealot's Reward from Garden of Salvation. Like those two are just S tier weapons, and man, that's crazy that that's the one they're looking at buffing to me as a fusion player.
It is interesting. I don't think I've ever used Cartesian recently and been like, oh man, they should buff this thing.
There are a lot of people who used it last season, the season before, that are like, I can't use Rapids anymore. They use Riptide, and they're like, I can't hit anything with this thing. Like if you use something other than Cartesian, like Riptide, it's like,
True.
okay, that thing is like, why would I run it? It just barely hits anything. So I get that, but they'd have to rework the good ones if they're gonna buff the other
Right.
ones.
Yeah.
But yeah, we'll see. What can be done to make Headseeker more interesting? The plan is to increase the duration the perk is active, have the perk reset on body shots when it is already active, and have it increase aim assist by a very small amount. In playtests, it is very good, arguably one of the best neutral perks for pulse rifles.
Wow.
Sounds
Okay.
great. Sounds really good. I have an old, what is it? Because they used to have set rolls on certain weapons. Inaugural Address, which was like the old, isn't that the old Callus?
That was
rapid
yeah.
fire?
That was
Yeah.
a good one.
I pulled that out because I think, is that one a lightweight? I think it was a lightweight because I just needed to move fast when I was playing a bunch of Rumble that one time. And so I was like, I need something fast that's long range. And that one has Headseeker on it, and it's just a set roll. So it's like, oh yeah, this is great. So I'm curious to see how this plays out on random stuff that we have in the vault.
Yeah.
Do aggressive frames have high caliber rounds baked in? No. However, the flinch from a single shot is proportional to damage. So higher damage per bullet weapons will flinch more than low damage per bullet weapons.
Interesting.
I don't
Got
know.
it.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Dynamic sway reduction seems like one of the most misunderstood perks in the game. Can you explain a little bit how that works? Dynamic sway reduction starts working as soon as you start flinching. Each subsequent shot improves its effects, increases accuracy and stability until it maxes out around 20 shots. So high RPM weapons get maximum benefits more quickly than low RPM weapons. The perk deactivates as soon as you stop firing.
Okay.
Yeah. That makes sense.
Cool. It's cool. That I like the RPM note there, that like those are the ones that really benefit from it, and that's why dynamic sway reduction on something like multi-mock, if you had one of those, a 900 RPM SMGs, you have dynamic sway reduction. Like, oh yeah, this thing feels smooth. What exactly does box breathing do? After being ADS for 1.5 seconds without firing, box breathing increases the precision damage multiplier of the weapon and increases the aim assist fall-off distance by 10%. It resets when you fire the weapon or leave ADS. Cool.
Okay.
Is there a way
It
to...
resets when you fire the weapon? I thought it just stayed on.
You're thinking
Yeah.
of that's the exotic, right?
Box breathing is on, I think, didn't that one roll on the Nightfall Scout rifle and people were like 3 headshot? They were like doing something crazy with the Omelon one that came back from D1. I can't remember what it's called right now. But I feel like it came with box breathing and a lot of people were going for that. But yeah, I didn't realize that it resets when you fire the weapon.
It's Whisper is what
Whisper stays active,
yeah, Whisper had a
But
good
I
had a
thought
remain
that-
permanent.
Yeah, I thought the main difference, I thought there was something to do with the timing that was just different with box breathing and Whisper. It was like Whisper came on quicker or something than box breathing or whatever. Maybe I'm misremembering. Doesn't matter.
Okay. And then last one. Is there a way to estimate how much zoom decreases the effective cone angles? Here we go, cones. On most weapons, you can just divide the base cone angle by the zoom. Example, 3 degrees base with 1.5 divided by 1.5 times zoom equals 2 degrees.
Yeah.
Zoom reduces the size of both aim assist.
That's what I was gonna say.
Zoom reduces the size of both aim assist and accuracy cones, which means you are more accurate at higher zooms but have smaller aim assist radius. That being said, some weapons have additional scaling applied on top, like sniper rifles with aim assist.
How do we even find like the base cone number to do the math on this.
Yeah,
I think-
who's doing the math?
I
Who's
think
bringing us the code?
You
the
listen
reason
to Firing Range every third Wednesday.
So I'm not sure if this is for what it makes me think of is a lot of times on like they've given us exact numbers on certain perks that will say it messes with your accuracy cone by this many degrees or something like that, and maybe it's for those purposes, or maybe it really is like people who know these cone degrees, or maybe we've been listed some, but I don't feel like that's the case. I feel like it's more for like determining like how much zoom matters.
Mhm.
How what is zoom doing? What is the benefits that it's giving you? Just more information on that.
I really like this TWAB. I really like how they're really direct with their answers. Like, it's just so nice to not get like kind of like. I think it's what's box breathing. Well, I think it's this. With a Amos's fall off around. I don't know. Like 10%. It's 10%.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh,
yeah.
Slight decrease.
Like I really like this TWAB. I hope they do this in the future again because not all these questions I found to be to my interest, but a lot of them were very informative.
Mhm.
Yeah, I thought you were just going to say you like this top because you've got through 5 beers.
True.
Speaking of that, not beer, but we were talking about that box breathing. I did see it is on a whole bunch of legendary weapons, and the hung jury was the scout that I was thinking of earlier that has that perk on it. So, but I wanted to also say, Briar, I love it too. I love that they not just gave us like the general like, hey, this is it, and they didn't just give us the scientific like accurate, like when they gave us the perk of how the perk columns work when you rank up, like at rank 1, rank 3, and they gave us the complicated, this is exactly the formula, and then they broke it down for us. Like I love that, just that we got both. So the people who really want to know, here you go, and the people who want the general answer, here you go.
Yeah.
And you know what? I think we need to thank Chris Proctor for this because this is what he actually promised on the podcast, on DDU and on this podcast. He said, we didn't get through everyone's questions, and I'll put them in a TWAB.
True.
That's awesome.
True.
And Nutbush.
These are probably like a collation of different Twitter questions that were asked when Chris Proctor went on this podcast and also Firing Line, and he also came on Destiny Down Under and like said that he would follow up with questions we didn't get through. So
That's awesome.
thanks for the Nutbush. Thanks for the question.
Yeah.
Chris Proctor is
But
our
most
favorite.
importantly, the Nutbush.
Your favorite.
We have favorites. There was news that Falcon is getting fixed finally.
Where?
Finally. Mid-October it's gonna get fixed. I assume that's the Festival of the Lost patch would be my
okay.
guess.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
That they've put it
I
onto
did
there.
one Lost Sector today and I got it.
Nice,
Oh,
you're ready.
nice.
You're ready to go, Mylan.
I did the whole how many easy game. First strong.
What I'm curious about is it gonna come back and they just fix that thing, or is it gonna come back like some of the other exotics have and they've like reworked, like you don't get the 15% damage bonus coming out of Invis anymore or something like that? Is it just gonna give you? I hope not. Like it's so interesting, not just for like it's interesting for everybody who plays the game, but I know there are people who have been upset with the on-demand style damage bonus in PvP. But I really enjoy that kind of stuff. Like I love the space magic craziness. So
can I just ask, because I actually didn't have it when it was active. So if you're Invis and you shoot, as you like, does that bullet that you shot coming out of Invis have the buff on it, or do you have to just be out of Invis first and then?
Unless you're using a fusion rifle, because they take time to charge, you come out of Invis, and then it activates on everything. So yes, it just depends on what you're using, but you can also do things. Cool Guy did a really good breakdown of it with hand cannons and all these exotics that can use it, where like Ace of Spades, you've got Momentum More, you could combine both of them, and instead of like shooting at the person and wasting a shot on some weapons, you can just shoot the ground, come out of Invis, and then shoot the person. Something like that to like before you even come around the corner and then get your damage to activate. So there are ways around it, but
yeah,
it's very cool though.
I think
Seems
I
it
would,
seems like it's going to be very strong, exotic, regardless of
sure.
what they do with it.
no, it definitely would be very strong, and that's why I'm like, I hope they don't come out of this changing it. I hope they just
Same.
fix it, and then if it becomes a problem, then absolutely nerf it later. But we haven't really had an opportunity to see what Falcon looks like.
I mean, is there any difference between this and Radiant? Isn't Radiant 15% buff as well?
5%.
Oh, it's only 5%. Okay.
Yeah. But it's basically like what a well is now. But that's a lot. Well is stationary, even though it lasts for longer. This damage buff lasts 2 seconds or 3, I guess, because the timer starts at 2. But so it's not very long, but it is enough to really make a difference if you're stacking it. And that's where it really comes into play, is where you're like, say you have any weapon with harmony and you kill someone and then you go invis and then you swap. You have 3 seconds to swap to your harmony weapon. Then harmony damage 20% is active for 7 more seconds or something like that. Then you got your Falcon's 15% on top of that 20%, and you just start doing crazy stuff that shouldn't be possible.
See, I feel like if you do that, I'm like, well played. You know, you got a kill, then went invis, and then you set your build up, and then you switch to like something. Like I feel like that's GG's. That's
Thank you. GG's.
Legit GG's. Like, well, you one shot me. Well,
I was using it with the new Iron Banner sidearm with gut shot, and that was just like
Oh.
it's just like, hey, you just get that little bit of extra damage there to help you
Yeah,
get
just
get the kills.
hold the trigger. Right.
Nice. Yeah.
That's good. I'm curious, which it went away so fast I wasn't able to test it. But if I'm gonna give this away, but it's worth it. It's so interesting that a glaive is a projectile and it takes a second. And when you come out of invis, I'm wondering if there's enough time before the projectile hits where the 15% damage would activate, because then you could run something as simple as unstoppable force on a glaive, which gives you like a 30% damage boost plus the 15% damage boost from your Falcons. I'm pretty sure you're one-shotting up to a certain resilience. I'm not sure what that resilience is, but I think it's like 5 or something.
gotta
That
take
would
that out of
be
the game
pretty
again.
sick.
Thanks a lot, Lego.
Sorry. It might not even work. I don't know. I didn't get a chance.
You can swipe the air and then shoot if it doesn't work for you.
Yeah.
So.
Yes. No,
Yeah.
that's a good point. That would work.
Yeah. Just attack the air and then shoot.
Do you guys want to do like rapid fire Twitter questions real
We
quick?
could do a
Yeah,
little
we're
bit of
coming up-
rapid fire,
Just do a little bit.
Yeah, we're coming up on a 2-hour show, so yeah,
Yeah.
we probably got like 10 minutes left for questions.
All right, we're gonna rapid fire these.
Copy.
on it.
Sparty for you says, how does it feel to hear basically a DCP emote will be coming into the game? Y'all basically led the charge on it.
I feel
On a
famous.
DCP. It's an Australian emote.
It's a DCP
Vindicated.
It's an Australian emote, shepherd.
I feel
by
like we made
DCP.
Australia. I mean, nobody knew about
Yes.
Australia before this.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Do we get invited by the president of Australia?
We
Thanks
should.
to getting
Is
the
there a
Nutbush
president? Is there a
endeavor.
prime minister or a
Yeah,
president?
prime minister.
Prime Minister.
PM.
The
King?
prime minister.
Do you have a
something.
king?
Yeah.
Mate, we're probably leaving the monarchy pretty soon, I reckon.
Yeah, you do have a king.
Hugo Rune says, what makes a good answer to a question? What makes a good answer to this specific question? A good answer to a question is
Nutbush.
Yeah, that is a good answer.
Nutbush city limits.
Mohegan 9 says, do you use drawers when you stay in a hotel? Fuck no.
No.
Yeah, what?
Do you use
Do you-
drawers when you
do-
stay in a hotel?
do you unpack your
bags and
suitcase?
put them in a drawer?
Yeah, do you unpack your
No,
suitcase
I'm
and
not,
put
I'm not a psycho. No.
Yeah, did you see there was like a GIF going around, or someone's got these tips on TikTok and they're like folding all their clothes into each other, so it's this super complicated like chamber
I
of
did say
secrets.
I'm like, how are you gonna get your clothes out?
I got
I
a quick
know.
story. I'm gonna try and make this as brief as possible. The first vacation that I took after we got married, the whole family went to Block Island, and my wife started unpacking and put everything in drawers. I'm like, what are you doing? She's like, I like to feel like I live here, like I'm home. I'm like, it just makes it harder to unpack and go. She's like, that's not happening for a week. Fast forward 3 days later, my wife is being airlifted off of the island because she got some kind of crazy ass food poisoning, and she was like literally on the verge of death. I'm grabbing the kids and trying to unpack or pack back up all this shit. I'm saying, I want to live here.
That's funny.
I just
As I try
imagine
and furiously pack the car up, get onto a ferry so I can find out what hospital my wife is being flown to.
The only exception to the draw thing is if like for example, when I went to Bungie in Seattle, I'm like, oh, there might be one day I have to wear like a collared shirt, or like I'll unpack the single collared shirt or the suit, or if you're there
Wrong
for a
again,
wedding.
Australian. You hang those in the closet or they won't get
That's
wrinkled.
what I mean.
Yeah, you don't put them in the drawers.
Yeah, you don't
Yeah,
put them in the
just
drawers.
Just drawers.
That's where we
Just
keep
drawers?
spiders. I don't know where you keep them.
Like I
Yeah.
use hangers in a hotel room for like some stuff that I bring.
Yeah, for things
But
you
I
don't want
don't use
wrinkled.
drawers.
Hangers, perfectly acceptable. Drawers? No,
Oh
no.
wait, hold on, no. Do you hang up? Do you hang up all your stuff?
No, just the
The
stuff that
important
you
stuff.
need to.
Only
Yeah,
things
like
that might
jackets.
wrinkle.
Okay, good.
Yeah. Like if you're wearing like not jean pants that you don't want to get wrinkled. That kind
Yeah,
of thing.
true.
Yeah.
Bagel says, "How long do you think it will be before Telesto teaches Savathun how to break out of the game?"
It's already happened.
Yeah.
It has already happened, right?
Mr. Macalito, I have to address Mr. Macalito personally. He puts these gifts of these delicious looking coffee cookies with his Twitter questions.
Enticing
And
you.
I'm sitting here just getting hungry. Like, this is a delicious looking cookie. It breaks apart and it's all moist and delicious. God damn it.
Mm.
With all things Destiny, nutbushing and sandbox related stuff covered in detail, what is everyone's favorite cookie, drink, and snake?
Classic
Cookie.
chocolate chip cookie.
That's a good
Yeah.
cookie. I'm a big oatmeal
Macadamia
raisin
nut's
fan.
pretty good. White chocolate macadamia nut cookie.
That is good. Macadamia nuts are uneven. Sometimes they're really good. Sometimes they're really
Yeah,
not
you
good.
can have a bad nut.
Yeah, you don't want a bad nut.
Sugar
Here in
cookie
Australia.
with icing, just like
Ooh, nice.
like classic bakery sugar cookie with icing with iced coffee, like together. That is like
Ooh, and an iced coffee.
combo. Yeah.
That is a nice combo.
Nice.
Let's go ahead, breakfast.
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah, I'm hungry. Can we finish? How long we got left? Be hungry.
Let me do 3 more. How about that?
Okay, copy.
Cool.
Acceptable.
Soul Invictus says, if an enemy faction for Destiny were to invade the real world and all the world's governments only had one day to prepare, which race do you think they'd have the best chance of defeating with modern day technology?
That's a good question.
The fact that you think all our
Elixir.
world governments would prepare together to face anything
True.
is so silly that I can't even answer this question.
Elixir
We would
would be the
immediately bomb
easiest.
Russia.
They must be the easiest, right?
They're
Elixir?
the easiest.
Are they?
Elixir the easiest.
I mean,
They have the least amount of magic out of everyone. And the Cabal are too warring to deal with.
Yeah.
They're
Yeah, the
massive and have big ass shields and thick hippo skin.
yeah, the Cabal
Yeah,
would
like
nuke
big
us.
cannons and stuff.
Zachary Richards says, TIE Fighter or X-Wing? X-Wing, 100%. Have you ever sat in a TIE Fighter? You can't see out anything but the front window. There's no windows in the top, side, back. It's just this like ball that you're sitting in with one window in the front. It's
Because you
claustrophobic.
can turn on a dime. That's why.
I do feel a little more, I feel like contained from outer space. Like X-Wing, you're just like, you're in space. Literally,
Yeah.
like if anything happens, one shot like to that wind, you're gone, you know?
Yeah.
I don't know.
That's true. That's true. But I mean, you got these like big vertical wings.
That
on the
is really
sides
cool.
of they are cool. They sound awesome too. That sound is you'll never forget it.
But hold on. Does this imply that there's no like heads-up display inside the cockpit?
Not in the ones I've flown.
I feel like the technology would be advanced enough to where the window is regardless, you know?
I am telling you, the ones I've flown, and I have flown quite a few.
Okay.
Starting with the TIE Fighter for PC back in the 90s, X-Wing versus TIE Fighter, another good one. Most recently, Star Wars Squadrons, that was VR. And I got to take a good look around that fucking thing. There's
No
windows,
heads-up display?
No heads-up display. I mean, you can see straight ahead. You got a radar.
I was just poorly designed.
Well, I think they're made by the lowest bidder, like many things for the Empire. You know, it's a bureaucracy. The Empire is. Celestine051 says, with the announcement from President Biden today in celebration of the U.S., how high are you planning on getting this weekend?
I'm high every day.
Every
Hey,
day?
what
It's the
what
same
what happened
amount.
with you guys? Weed legal everywhere or what?
No, President Biden said that federally, so this does not count for state crimes or state offenses, he would like to forgive minor marijuana offenses. So you'd be
Like
pardoned.
felonies, right?
That
Yes.
already happened.
Well,
You would think it would have.
You would
but
think, yeah.
No, it had not.
All
Yeah.
right. Oh, it was on the states, wasn't it, to do it?
Yeah,
do it
per
themselves or
state
something?
has different laws
Right.
and regulations about it.
yes.
Yeah, got it.
Yeah. Like, for instance, if you can legally sell weed in California, you have to use cash. You can't use credit cards because credit cards are governed federally, and the federal laws prohibit them from being able to purchase marijuana that way. So you have to use
Oh.
cash for it to
Yeah,
be
it's
legal
really
in the
annoying.
state. Yeah.
It creates a
need the debit
situation where
card
these
in
weed
some
dealers have
cases.
like millions of dollars of cash, which are
Yeah.
it's bad news to have.
Is that it?
That's it. That was all the questions that we had time
Nice.
for tonight. Thank you for
Excellent.
asking questions. I'll try and get to some of the ones that were left behind next week.
I look
But no
forward to the
promises.
great Nutbush in 2023. It's going to be
I
excellent.
Yes.
can't wait. I hope
All
it's
hail
there.
the Nutbush.
I hope it's
Yeah.
there on launch day. I want launch day nut pushing to happen. That's
We
what I
all
want.
get together and celebrate the Nutbush too.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
I thought
definitely.
we was like implied that we'd be celebrating.
Yeah.
it
I
together.
think we should just stream our characters nutbushing for like 24 hours straight.
Yeah,
Mm.
like just literally a Nutbush party, and maybe rather than force you guys to eat Vegemite, you can actually have some like good Australian food. You know, send you some fairy breads, maybe
Ooh.
maybe a
I don't know
hot
what
dog
fairy
and a
bread is,
piece of
but it
bread.
sounds delicious.
A fairy bread. Yes, you do. We've been over this. It's
Mm.
bread.
Oh,
You
yeah.
put butter on the bread, and then you put hundreds of thousands, like sprinkles on top.
Hundreds of thousands.
Hundreds of
Oh,
thousands.
Sprinkles.
That
Sprinkles.
doesn't sound very good. Why would I want sprinkles on bread?
It's a kid's. Mate, it's a kid's. It's a kid's.
Butter,
party.
sprinkles, and bleached white bread.
Trust me, it tastes good. It's good. It's what I got. I was at a kid's a 5-year-old birthday party last week, my niece, and I went straight for the fairy bread. It's at every birthday party.
Doubt.
We can eat prawns on the Barbie.
Prawns and the Barbie.
Oh,
It's
man.
not just for kids. Yeah, I eat it all the time.
All right, let's wrap it up. That's episode 309 of DCP Live. Thank you so much for tuning in. Lego, where can people find your stuff?
Yeah, you can find me on Twitter or mainly YouTube. It's Lego LE Flash, Lego LE Flash, and I'm doing lots of Scientia Illuminata emblem giveaways on YouTube specifically. So you don't even have to sub
nice.
or anything. I'm just doing just comment in there, and I'm gonna pick a random person every week, kind of deal. So I'm excited about that.
Very nice.
Very cool. Well, awesome. Thanks again for joining us on short
Yeah,
notice.
thanks for joining
Really.
us.
Yeah.
You
Thank
are
you for
a
having us.
What's going
weapons
on?
guy, and we needed definitely a weapons guy.
Really
Yeah.
appreciate
We're
it.
not very smart.
Whatever. I feel like I was able to get my at least lore shown up over me coming on this week after the week where I was like, I don't know what it could be, and everyone's in chat like Netherrack. I'm like, oh yeah, okay. I
will trade lore knowledge for weapon perk knowledge any day of the week.
Hey, anytime, man.
Or skill.
Let's
Skill
do
would
it
be
soon.
cool.
Yeah, if you got some skill in there too, that'd be great.
Awesome. Well, thanks again for joining us. We appreciate it. Shout out to our Patreon members and our Twitch subs for supporting the shows on the feed. There was no side quest this week, so that'll be back next week. But yeah, thanks for tuning in.
Look
we appreciate
forward
it.
to Monday side quest, everybody.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, baby.
All right. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Peace.
Bye.